Chapter 9:16. If the heaven-knocking pavilion did not find trouble with the immortal-seeking sect, then it would naturally not be a good thing for the true devil sect. After all, the immortal-seeking sect was a half-immortal sect, and it would be extremely difficult for the true devil sect to deal with them. But what Su Yun had asked Empress Dowager Lu to do was not a waste of effort. At least in the hearts of the heaven-knocking pavilion, the knot in the immortal-seeking sect had already been formed. If he could pour a spoonful of oil on it, perhaps the effect would appear. Su Yun rubbed his chin and thought for a while, then turned to look at the blood demon guards and asked, "Is there any situation at the true devil sect?" "There's no news yet." "That means the immortal-seeking sect hasn't made a move yet." Su Yun thought for a while, then said, "Send one person to stay behind to keep an eye on Empress Dowager Lu. The rest follow me. We will return to the true devil sect." "Understood," the demon blood guards said in unison. The blood demon captain personally stayed behind, while Su Yun led the rest of the blood demon guards towards the true devil sect. Although the Empress Dowager Lu did, as Su Yun said, and pushed the death of the two immortals from the heaven-knocking pavilion onto the immortal-seeking sect, he was worried that the Empress Dowager Lu would contact the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion and tell them the truth. If that was the case, then it would be troublesome, and the matter could not be delayed. Taking advantage of the estrangement between the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal-seeking sect, he had to quickly improve the relationship between the two sections. After returning to the true devil sect realm, Su Yun went to look for Chi without stopping. Previously, he had already sent people to inform Octagon Aniseed about this matter, and Octagon Aniseed naturally knew a little about it. Of course, he also agreed with Su Yun's actions. If he could incite the relationship between the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal-seeking sect, then unknowingly, the true devil sect would have an additional powerful ally. In the big tent in front of the entrance to the demon realm. "Thank you for your hard work, Demon Monarch. I already know what happened. I've already sent spies to the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking. If the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking plans to act against the immortal-seeking sect, we'll know immediately. However, according to my deduction, the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking and the immortal-seeking sect won't start a fight. Because of this, at most, the immortal-seeking sect will compensate with a few treasures." Octagon Aniseed sat on the chair, his hands clasped together as he sighed. "The main target of the immortal-seeking sect is us. They will naturally give in." Su Yun thought for a while, then said, "Octagon Aniseed, this time, come with me." "Leave? Where are we going?" he asked in a daze. "Immortal world." Octagon Aniseed was dumbstruck. "Go there? Why?" "We're going to intercept the emissary from the heaven-knocking pavilion." Su Yun calculated and said, "There are probably not many people in the true devil sect who can hide their chi from the immortals. Follow me to the immortal world and intercept the envoy from the heaven-knocking pavilion to the immortal-seeking sect." Hearing that, Octagon Aniseed shook his head. "I don't believe that. It's too risky. Although we can enter the immortal world safely, if we kill someone from the heaven-knocking pavilion at this critical juncture, wouldn't the heaven-knocking pavilion suspect us?" They were not fools. Their own people had been killed again and again. How could they not think that someone else had ulterior motives? There was no enmity between the immortal-seeking sect and the heaven-knocking pavilion, so there was no reason for such a sect to provoke the heaven-knocking pavilion over and over again, right? In this way, the suspicion of the immortal-seeking sect is cleared. But we have no other choice. Su Yun sighed. The true devil sect's external help is too little. If we were to fight with the immortal-seeking sect here, other enemies would attack, and that would be a disaster. In fact, he was also worried about Sword Ancestor's words. If the true devil sect and the immortal-seeking sect were to fight, even if they were not destroyed, they would still have to pay a heavy price. Seeing Su Yun's persistence, he thought for a while, then looked at Su Yun seriously. "How confident are you?" "It depends on your performance. Killing is not easy. Even if it's an envoy, he is still an immortal in the immortal world. At the very least, his strength should be at the peak of the spirit sage. So, it depends on your performance. No one else can do it. At most, I can deal with one." Then let me handle the others. Since they are envoys, they should only be 2 people. Suyin said. Hearing that, Octagon Aniseed exhaled and shouted, All right, since Lord Demon Lord has said so, if I were to be unreasonable, then I wouldn't be like a vice sect master. When do we leave? Immediately, Suyin said. So fast? Can you give me some time to adjust my state of mind? After all, that is the immortal world. Do you want to wait for someone else to return from the immortal seeking sect? Suyin rolled her eyes at him. Aha, let's go immediately. Octagon Aniseed smiled awkwardly and jumped down from his chair. He coughed, tidied up his loose expression, and said solemnly, Great clan elder, here, while the demon lord and I are away. You will be in charge of all the matters here. Yes, sir. The round demon lowered his head and said, 2 devils. Here. The 2 devils sitting on the chairs immediately stood up. Return to the true devil sect immediately and be in charge of the sect's affairs. Yes, sir. I have already received news that the immortal seeking sect has already started to move. A large number of experts are gathering in the immortal seeking sect. They could make a move on the true devil realm at any time. Everyone be prepared to fight at any time. Yes, sir. Everyone present stood up. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed nodded and did not say anything else. Let's go. Suyin called out and walked out of the tent. Octagon Aniseed followed him. How do I get to the immortal world? Suyin asked. Let's go to the ultimate martial world first. Octagon Aniseed said, The ultimate martial world is connected to countless realms, and the immortal world is the same. There is an island on the misty sea of the ultimate martial world, and the island leads to the immortal world. All right. In truth, the dark place in the Wanhua realm can also lead to the immortal world, but the distance is too far. In order to save time, let's enter from the misty island. Just lead the way. Suyin said. Octagon Aniseed laughed and had his men arrange it. Very quickly, a teleportation array that led to the ultimate martial world was successfully set up. Setting up such a formation was not easy. It required a lot of materials. It was not something that could be set up just like that. If not for the fact that Octagon Aniseed was the vice sect master of the True Devil sect, he would not have received such treatment. The 2 of them entered the array and once again entered the ultimate martial world, but they were already at the southernmost part of the ultimate martial world on a small island. This island was located at the edge of the Misty Sea area, and after flying a few hundred kilometers south, they would be able to enter the Misty Sea area. The people of the True Devil sect had once left an imprint on this island. If not, they would not have been able to set up a teleportation array. Suyin and Octagon Aniseed came down from the teleportation array and leaped into the air, soaring high into the sky and rushing towards the Misty Sea. As they approached the Misty Sea, the originally blue sky and seawater were gradually shrouded by a layer of hazy mist. The surrounding scenery became blurry, and when they went deeper, they could barely tell where they were. As if he knew the direction, he continued to fly forward. This was the first time Suyin came, and he followed closely behind him. Not long after, a small island appeared in their line of sight. Heh, Lord Demon Lord, we've arrived. Octagon Aniseed excitedly shouted as he quickly rushed towards the island. There was no one on the island, and there was nothing. Rather than calling it an island, it would be more accurate to call it a desolate boulder. However, in the center of the island, there was a very strange crack. The crack extended from the front of the island to the end and was about a finger wide. It was like a giant's axe, almost splitting the island in half. The crack was suffused with a milky white light, and waves of strange and alluring aura seeped out from within. This crevice is quite similar to the crevices in the Wanhua realm. Suyin stood at the side of the crevice and said, Actually, it's all the same. It's the same thing. He then walked to the side of the crevice and groped around on the ground for a while. He took out grains of rice from the space bag and threw them inside. As he threw them, he moved his body. A moment later, he smiled lightly and said, This is the place. Follow me. After he finished speaking, he actually leaped and squeezed into the crevice. A scene that surprised Suyin appeared. When the 8 teeth touched the light in the crevice, his body actually changed and disappeared into the crevice. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately followed in. A dazzling white light pierced into his eyes. Even with Su Yun's cultivation, he could not avoid it and could only close his eyes. He temporarily lost his vision, and after a while, the dazzling white light dissipated. Su Yun opened his eyes again and discovered that he was no longer surrounded by the hazy and hard-to-find Misty Island. Instead, he was surrounded by the hazy and hard-to-find clouds. The air around him was shockingly fresh, and the aura here was like a living creature, seeping into his skin, seeping into his blood, and seeping into his soul. Su Yun felt as if his entire body had been elevated in that instant, and this feeling was simply indescribable. "How do you feel?" Octagon Aniseed smiled. "Great." Su Yun took a deep breath, closed his eyes again, and felt the spirit aura in the air, and exclaimed, "The chi here is so abundant. The energy is so huge. If I were to cultivate here, it would definitely be much faster than in the ultimate martial world." "Yeah." Octagon Aniseed laughed lightly. "Su Yun, do you still remember how you felt when you first entered the ultimate martial world?" "What is it?" Su Yun looked at him suspiciously. "Don't tell me that your feelings now are different from before. You once told me that when you entered the ultimate martial world from the Sky Martial Continent, you said that the conditions of the ultimate martial world were extremely suitable for spirit cultivator to cultivate, and that was to compare the Sky Martial Continent to the ultimate martial world. Even the ultimate martial world could not compare to the immortal world. This is the survival of the fittest. This is the domination of resources. The immortal world is a place that is extremely helpful for cultivation, so only immortals can have it, and no one else can step in. This is an unwritten rule. Even if you have already reached the spirit profound immortal realm, you have to find a relationship to enter the immortal world. Otherwise, if you recklessly barge in, you will only be waiting for other immortals to seize your cultivation, and if you are not careful, you might even lose your life." He no longer had a smile on his face. Chapter 9:17. The so-called immortals had vast abilities and were extremely capable. They could split the heavens and shake the earth, turn stone into gold, and close their eyes for 10,000 years. However, that was only the traditional understanding of immortals. In the immortal world, the so-called immortals were just a group of people who had reached the pinnacle of cultivation. They were not saints, nor would they become saints. In their eyes, those whose cultivation was weaker than theirs were all existences that served them. Compared to ordinary spirit cultivator, they only had a little more comprehension and a little more cultivation. Their habits and temperament were the same, because they had also climbed up from the so-called mortals. The people of the Sky Martial Continent were weak and could only live in the Sky Martial Continent. Occasionally, there would be people who were lucky enough to enter the ultimate martial world to cultivate and obtain a better platform to reach a higher realm. However, the people of the ultimate martial world would not reject people who entered from the weaker realms, but the immortal world was different. The rules of the law of the jungle were fully displayed here, and it was unknown how difficult it was to climb into the immortal world from the ultimate martial world. There were almost no rogue cultivators in the entire immortal world, and only by relying on the powers of the immortal world would they be able to survive. "Where are we now?" Su Yun looked around and asked. "I don't know. Don't you know the immortal world very well? Do you know the location of the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal seeking sect?" "I didn't know before, but I do now." Octagon Aniseed laughed. "I have already arranged for spies to monitor these two sections. How can I not even know their locations? Is there such a capable person in the True Devil sect, entering the immortal world without being discovered by the other immortals? Don't underestimate our True Devil sect. We still have a lot of treasures." I took out the treasures of the True Devil sect and equipped them with these two spies, allowing them to avoid the eyes and ears of the immortals. I spent a lot of effort on them, he said with a bitter face. "Then let's contact these two first and figure out the route. Time is of the essence. We must first confirm if the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion have already left. If they have already left, then our plan will have to be canceled," Su Yun said. Octagon Aniseed nodded his head. He took out an order badge and injected a few strands of profound chi into it, causing the order badge to emit a bit of black light. He placed it by his lips and muttered a few words, then hung the order badge back on his waist and sat on the ground that seemed to be a cloud, waiting. Put away the order badge first. Air? Shouldn't we change our outfits? That makes sense. Immortals seem to like to wear gold and white clothes. You and I are dressed in black. It's too eye-catching and hard to hide. Su-Yin rolled her eyes at him and said, later on, ask the people from the immortal-seeking sect for their clothing, and just transform into their clothing. You, on the other hand, have a divine item. It's a pity that I only have some scrap metal on me. He pretended to be wronged. Su-Yin could not help but knock him on the head. What are you doing? Octagon Aniseed covered his head and looked at Su-Yin with grievance. Who told you to pretend to be poor? I'm so sad, he said pitifully with tears in his eyes. Su-Yin immediately closed his eyes. He was too lazy to watch him pretend. This guy did not show any mercy when he killed people, and now he was pretending to be an innocent child. Not long after, two blurry auras floated over. Su-Yin tensed up and looked left and right. Are they our people? Most likely. Octagon Aniseed nodded. With Su-Yun's cultivation, he could only feel the other party's blurry chi. It could be seen that the two people from the True Devil sect had indeed obtained the powerful magic treasuress from Octagon Aniseed to protect themselves. He stood up and looked into the distance. Very quickly, two figures appeared in front of Su-Yin and Octagon Aniseed. The two of them were so close that no one could detect them. They were extremely hidden and could not see through each other's cultivation. These two people were dressed in white robes, with black hair and white faces. They were very handsome, and there was no trace of devil cultivatoress at all. Subordinate Mist Demon, Coiling Demon, greets Vice Sect Leader and Lord Demon King. The two of them spoke in low voices, respectful and pious. No need to be so polite. Get up. Octagon Aniseed nodded his head. The grievance and laziness from before had long disappeared, and was replaced with seriousness and seriousness. Su-Yin, who was at the side, was dumbstruck. The current Octagon Aniseed was like a completely different person from before. Thank you, Sect Leader. The two of them stood up. Give us the exact location of the immortal-seeking sect and the heaven-knocking pavilion, as well as a rough map of the immortal world. In addition, I also want to know the clothes of the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal-seeking sect. Octagon Aniseed asked. Both the heaven-knocking pavilion and I are in charge of gathering and monitoring information about a sect. The heaven-knocking pavilion is monitoring the heaven-knocking pavilion, and I am monitoring the immortal-seeking sect. We have already prepared the materials. With that, the Coax Demon and the Mist Demon each took out a sparkling crystal and handed it over to Octagon Aniseed. Octagon Aniseed glanced at it and handed it over to Su-Yin. Su-Yin activated it and looked at it. Has the heaven-knocking pavilion sent people to the immortal-seeking sect? Su-Yin scanned the information in the crystal, stared at the demon, and asked seriously. The demon immediately cupped his fists and said seriously, when Vice Sect Leader and Lord Demon Lord gathered this subordinate, the envoys from the heaven-knocking pavilion had already set off. I believe that they will arrive at the immortal-seeking sect in less than half a day. How many people did the heaven-knocking pavilion send? A total of 5. 5? Su-Yin and Octagon Aniseed were shocked. Is there a need for so many people to go just to ask for an explanation? It's not like we're going to quarrel. Normally, 2 people would be more or less the same. Octagon Aniseed felt a little confused. It seems like the plan can't keep up with the changes. Su-Yin rubbed his chin and thought, Lord Demon Lord, do you still want to continue? Octagon Aniseed was a little uncertain as he turned to look at Su-Yin. After a while, Su-Yin made his decision. Since we're already here, how can we just leave like that? 5 people is 5 people. Let's set off now. Lord Demon Lord, are you joking? Octagon Aniseed was in a daze. That was 5 immortals. Could the 2 of them do it? Octagon Aniseed did not know Su-Yun's current strength, but he knew his own strength. He could deal with 1 immortal, but if he were to deal with 2, don't worry, Octagon Aniseed. We are not going to deal with all the immortals. Su-Yin smiled slightly. Octagon Aniseed was still a little worried, but seeing Su Yun's calm and collected look, he couldn't help but believe in Su Yun. All right, since Lord Demon Lord has said so, I won't object. Let's set off now. Octagon Aniseed took a deep breath and said. Su Yun nodded his head, looked at the two Devil Cultivator S, and said indifferently, You two continue to monitor the two sects. If there is any movement, immediately inform us, understand? Yes, sir. Let's go down first. Vice Sect Leader, Lord Demon Lord, please take care. With that, the two Devil Cultivator S left. Seeing that, Su Yun also turned and flew into the sky, following closely behind. Su Yun took out the crystal and roughly looked at the map that the Mist Demon had gathered. He realized that after entering the immortal world for so long, the Mist Demon had only collected the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal-seeking sect. He did not know how big the immortal world was, but from the heaven-knocking pavilion to the immortal-seeking sect, he had to pass through 81 immortal cities, and there were even 5 small immortal sections. These immortal sects did not have many resources and were weak, to the point that large immortal sects like the immortal-seeking sect and the heaven-knocking pavilion could not be bothered to annex them. From the information gathered by the Mist Demon and the Devil Roar, the envoys of the heaven-knocking pavilion must have gone through the Red Sky City, passed through the illusory cloud sea, went through the White Cloud Waterfall, and finally entered the territory of the immortal-seeking sect. Su Yun pointed to the image on the crystal and said, Where does the Demon Lord think we should start? White Cloud Waterfall. Su Yun said indifferently, without even thinking about it. Why? It's close to the immortal-seeking sect, so the disguise is more credible. All right, let's go straight to the White Cloud Waterfall. He nodded. The two of them sped up, almost turning into white light as they dashed forward. On the way, the two of them used an illusion technique to change their clothes according to the appearance of the immortal-seeking sect disciples provided by the Mist Demon. Su Yun used the Imperial Battle Robe to transform into something extremely real. Even immortals would not be able to tell if it was real or fake, and Octagon Aniseed also had his own methods. As the Vice Sect Master of the True Devil Sect, he was naturally proficient in illusion techniques, and no one knew what kind of magic treasure he used, but a loose white robe covered his body, matching with his skinny body, making him look extremely comical. The two of them hurried for several hours, avoiding immortals along the way and bypassing cities. Finally, they arrived at the White Cloud Waterfall indicated on the crystal. It was his first time here, and the scene in front of him was truly shocking. This was a sea of clouds, but it was a sea of clouds on top of clouds. Below it was a thick layer of clouds, and above it was a thick layer of pure white clouds. In between the two layers of clouds was a dazzling, snow-white sun. Above the clouds was a huge layer of clouds, like a waterfall falling down. From afar, it looked like a divine dragon falling into the river. It was a spectacular sight. In a mortal world, such a spectacle would never appear. Is this the White Cloud Waterfall? I think it would be more appropriate to call it the White Dragon Waterfall. It's truly spectacular. Octagon Aniseed flew to the ground and looked up at the descending clouds. He was filled with emotion. The immortal world is the immortal world. Even a cloud has more spiritual charm than the ones below. Su Yun did not make a sound, but his gaze only swept across the clouds once, and then he retracted it. Octagon Aniseed was still like a child, flying up and down the clouds, and only stopped when Su Yun called out to him. It should be about time. Let's hide first and wait for them to come. Su Yun shouted. All right. Octagon Aniseed nodded, and immediately followed behind Su Yun obediently. Time slowly passed. Octagon Aniseed was a little nervous, but Su Yun was still as calm as ever, as though he was not afraid of immortals. During this period of time, they could see a few immortals passing by, but none of them were from the heaven-knocking pavilion. The two of them could only try their best to avoid them, because many of the immortals passing by were from the immortal-seeking sect. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, there was finally movement in the distance that they were looking forward to. Chapter 9:18. Someone's coming, Su Yun exclaimed. Octagon Aniseed nodded and said, What should we do? Just follow behind me. Don't say anything. Do whatever I tell you to do. Su Yun said. Understood. Let's go. Su Yun called out, and then flew forward towards the few heaven-knocking pavilion immortals that were flying towards them. When the 5 envoys of the heaven-knocking pavilion saw the 2 of them flying over, they slowed down, and their gazes landed on the 2 of them. It's the uniform of the Immortal-Seeking Sect. These 2 are from the Immortal-Seeking Sect. One of them said in a low voice, After this white cloud waterfall, we will be in the territory of the Immortal-Seeking Sect. Why are there 2 people from the Immortal-Seeking Sect here? What? Did they know that my heaven-knocking pavilion was coming and personally sent people to welcome them? The leader, a man with long hair fluttering in the wind and dressed in yellow and white clothes, coldly said. He looked at the 2 people flying over with disdain, and the corner of his mouth raised into a disdainful smile. Don't spout nonsense. This place is so close to the Immortal-Seeking Sect, so there might be a disciple who went out to do something. Another person said, who cares about them? The Immortal-Seeking Sect is just a half-immortal sect. Compared to my dignified heaven-knocking pavilion, they're simply a bunch of incompetent people. The man in the lead said coldly, Follow me over and interrogate them. Let them lead the way for us. All right. The rest of them followed behind him. The 5 of them flew over, and one of them shouted at Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed, Halt! Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed immediately stopped and looked at the 5 of them. Su Yun raised his eyebrows. Who are you? Heaven-knocking pavilion. A disciple of the heaven-knocking pavilion snorted. Let me ask you, are you from the Immortal-Seeking Sect? So what if I am? Su Yun pretended to be arrogant and said, Aya, you're quite arrogant. Do you know what we are doing? That person was a little displeased. I don't care what you do. I still have things to do. Get out of my way. Do what you need to do. Don't block my way. Su Yun shouted and was about to leave. But just as he was about to leave, a hand suddenly pressed on his shoulder. Su Yun turned his head to look and realized that the person holding him down was the leader of the 5-man team. The man's face was gloomy, and unknowingly, he had appeared beside Su Yun. He stared coldly at Su Yun and snorted, Brat, do you know what we do? We were sent by the Knocking Heaven Pavilion to the Immortal-Seeking Sect to punish you. My Heaven-Knocking Pavilion's disciples died in the hands of your Immortal-Seeking Sect's people. You already owe us. And now, you're acting so arrogant in front of me. Does your Immortal-Seeking Sect have any respect for our Heaven-Knocking Pavilion? Hearing that, Su Yun's face was filled with anger. He flung the man's arm away and roared, What Heaven-Knocking Pavilion? Earth-Knocking Pavilion. I've never heard of it. You still want to accuse me? I'm asking your mother's head. Scram further away from me, or else I'll beat you until you're looking for your teeth all over the floor. How arrogant. What an arrogant kid. Is this what the people of the Immortal-Seeking Sect are like? I'll teach him a lesson today. Today we'll let him see the power of our Heaven-Knocking Pavilion. The people from the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion were already filled with righteous indignation. All of them were enraged. Su Yun's words had shattered their arrogant pride. If they did not teach Su Yun a lesson, they would feel that they had lost all face. The people from the Immortal-Seeking Sect are truly impressive. The man snorted. He retreated a few meters and said indifferently, Since that's the case, then don't blame us for being impolite. Cripple their cultivation. Yes, sir. A disciple from the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion immediately rushed forward. Without saying a word, he struck towards Su Yun's head. The mysterious immortal power revolved around his palm. This palm strike, it would be terrible. How is this a lesson? It was clearly a killing move. These people from the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion were not good people. The moment they made a move, they wanted to kill. It was just that, just as the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion disciple's palm came slashing down, an even purer and more majestic power enveloped him tightly in the blink of an eye. Before he could even react to what was going on, he was shocked to discover that all the immortal chi in his body had disappeared without a trace, and the palm that was slashing towards him had also become weak and powerless. He stared at Su Yun with wide eyes. But in the next second, Su Yun had already punched over. Dong! The power of the fist was peerlessly terrifying, directly piercing through the disciple's chest, shattering his bones, breaking open his internal organs, and directly shattering his heart. In front of the imperial battle robe, even immortals would find it difficult to escape the absorption of divine power. An ear-piercing sound came out. The man froze in front of Su Yun. His movements suddenly stopped, as though he had been petrified. Only blood continued to spurt out. In the end, the man's raised hand drooped down powerlessly. An immortal had died, just like that. His soul overflowed. The people at the side were all dumbfounded. After Su Yun obtained the divine object and entered the ancient tomb, his strength had increased crazily, but he never thought that this guy would already be strong to the point where he could instantly kill an immortal. The other 4 people were also stunned, their eyes staring at Su Yun, as though they could not believe what was happening in front of them. Hee, is this all your heaven-knocking pavilion has? What trash! Su Yun retracted his bloody fist and kicked the corpse that was already dead. The corpse flew out and fiercely fell onto the cloud below, dyeing the pure white cloud red. The soul overflowed and fled in panic, but he did not have any intention of destroying the soul. Su Yun waved his hand, his cold eyes sweeping across the remaining 4 people, the corner of his mouth raised into a sinister smile. I heard that you guys are coming to my immortal-seeking sect to denounce me, right? You. The man was so shocked that all the hairs on his body stood up. He retreated a few steps. He was already intimidated by Su Yun. Hearing Su Yun's words, his heart turned even colder. How dare a small heaven-knocking pavilion like you be so arrogant? Today, I will destroy all of you and destroy the might of your heaven-knocking pavilion. With that said, Su Yun bellowed, Junior brother, let's go and destroy these bastards from the heaven-knocking pavilion. All right. Only then did Octagon Aniseed regain his senses, and immediately followed Su Yun and rushed over. Su Yun originally thought that the 2 sides would fight, but who would have thought that the 4 disciples of the heaven-knocking pavilion would all turn pale white, and without thinking, they immediately turned and ran. This caused Su Yun to be stunned. Why are you so scared? Su Yun said gloomily. Demon Lord, should we chase after them? Octagon Aniseed whispered. Chase after them for a while, curse a few times, and then let them go. Su Yun said softly. Octagon Aniseed nodded, and the 2 of them chased after the 4 people from the heaven-knocking pavilion like chickens. The 4 of them fled in panic, almost using up all the immortal chi in their bodies. In a flash, they left the white cloud waterfall and fled into the distance. Octagon Aniseed and Su Yun were actually unable to catch up. Only when the 4 of them disappeared did the 2 of them stop. Mother of Asterisk Cur, these people from the heaven-knocking pavilion are running really fast. I don't think I can catch up to them, even if I use all my strength. Octagon Aniseed stretched out his neck and looked into the distance as he sighed. After all, he's an immortal. How could he be so weak? Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. Weak? Octagon Aniseed glanced at Su Yun. I don't know if they are weak or not, but I know that our family's Lord Demon Lord is truly awe-inspiring. To kill an immortal in a second with a punch, I'm afraid no one would believe such a thing. Lord Demon Lord, what cultivation level are you at now? It's just a spirit sage. Spirit sage? Not enough. Octagon Aniseed's eyes seemed as if they were about to pop out of their sockets. Don't look at me like that. The reason why I was able to kill him in an instant was because he was too careless and didn't know that I had a divine object on me. The moment he got close to me, the Imperial Battle robe sucked out all of the immortal energy from his body, and that's why I succeeded. Su Yun explained. Hey, I got it. Octagon Aniseed shrugged his shoulders and laughed strangely. His big black eyes looked around Su Yun's body once, and no one knew what he was thinking about in his head. He said, then, Lord Demon Lord, what should we do now? Hearing that, Su Yun pondered. After a moment, he said in a low voice, Octagon Aniseed, what do you think will happen if this continues? How else can it develop? Octagon Aniseed laughed. It must be those guys who went back to complain, and then the higher-ups of the heaven-knocking pavilion flew into a rage, bringing a large number of experts over to denounce us. After all, before they even reached the immortal-seeking sect, they had already killed their way back. How could they endure such humiliation? Blame? I'm afraid it won't be anymore. These fellows were originally going to say something, but they were killed again. The heaven-knocking pavilion would definitely not waste their breath this time. They were stronger than the immortal-seeking sect. Why did they have to rely on their mouths to speak every time? If I'm not wrong, this time, the heaven-knocking pavilion will definitely kill their way into the immortal-seeking sect and establish their might first. If the people from the immortal-seeking sect want to talk, they will stop, and if they don't want to talk, the heaven-knocking pavilion will use this as an excuse to swallow the immortal-seeking sect. Hearing Su Yun's words, Octagon Aniseed's eyes lit up. That's right, Lord Demon Lord. Your idea is more in line with the current situation. If the immortal-seeking sect suffers a heavy blow, my true devil sect will be able to sleep soundly. Ha! Sleep soundly? You're thinking too much. Su Yun shook his head. As long as the immortal-seeking sect is not destroyed, they will recover in the future, and the true devil sect will still not be able to escape the fate of being destroyed. The immortal-seeking sect is, after all, a sect in the immortal world, and the cultivation conditions and resources of the immortal world are far stronger than the true devil realm. This time, we have the opportunity to let the heaven-knocking pavilion be our spear, but what about next time? Do we still have the chance to sow discord between the heaven-knocking pavilion and the immortal-seeking sect? Hearing this, Octagon Aniseed's face was filled with doubt. He naturally understood the meaning behind Su Yun's words, but he felt that Su Yun still had something else to say, so he asked, "Then, what does Lord Demon Lord mean?" Immediately return to the true devil sect, gather all the troops, and remove all the seals and defenses at the entrance. Prepare the magic treasure, erase seal and enchantments, and gather all the power of the true devil realm. Do not waste any effort. Octagon Aniseed was shocked. What are you going to do? Bring the army out. Su Yun spat out these 4 words. Chapter 919. The Pavilion of Heaven Knocking was an immortal sect with a history of nearly 10,000 years. Heaven Knocking was to worship the heaven and seek the way of immortality. The Heaven Knocking Pavilion was situated on top of a rainbow cloud, directly facing the snow-white, blazing sun. Pavilions made of colored glass stood tall on top of the rainbow cloud. Under the illumination of the sunlight, these buildings emitted an intoxicating halo, dazzling and dignified. A long crystal staircase extended down from the solemn and imposing entrance, all the way to a platform below. At this moment, a few figures stumbling and battered were rushing towards the platform with all their might. 2 disciples of the Pavilion of Heaven, standing on the platform, saw this and immediately went to greet them. "Who are you?" One of them shouted. "It's me. It's me." The leader of the group shouted at the top of his voice. The guarding disciple was taken aback. He took a closer look and found that these 4 people were the disciples who had been sent to negotiate with the immortal-seeking sect. Their leader was Chun Xing, the leader of the inner sect disciples of the Sky-Knocking Pavilion. Seeing Chun Xing in such a sorry state, the 2 of them were really shocked. "Senior brother Chun, how did you end up in such a sorry state? Weren't you sent to negotiate with the immortal-seeking sect? Why are you back so soon?" The 2 of them helped Chun Xing to sit down on the platform and asked in confusion, "What negotiation? What suffering? The people of the immortal-seeking sect don't respect the people of the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking." Chun Xing took a deep breath and shouted angrily and fearfully, "How dare the immortal-seeking sect do this?" The 2 disciples were furious. "Senior brothers, please take us to see the elder quickly. The people of the immortal-seeking sect have just killed another one of our junior brothers. We must inform the pavilion leader of this as soon as possible. I guess the immortal-seeking sect is going to attack the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking." A person who came with Chun Xing shouted, panting, "How dare the immortal-seeking sect?" The guarding disciple said angrily, "Senior brothers and junior brothers, don't panic. Li Wei, take them to rest. I will report this to the elder immediately." "Okay, come with me." The man called Li Wei led Chun Xing and the others into the pavilion. The others went to rest, while Chen Xing followed Li Wei into the main hall. Soon, the heaven-knocking pavilion's grand elder Yuan Luo walked into the main hall with quick steps. Chen Xing, who was still adjusting his breathing in the main hall, was so frightened that he hurriedly stood up and bowed to the great elder in a panic. He didn't expect the great elder to come. This kind of matter should be handled by the 7th elder or the 8th elder, who were ranked lower, right? Chen Xing greets the 1st elder. Chen Xing bowed respectfully. Don't be so polite. Stand up and talk. The great elder walked in and sat on the chair at the head of the table. He stared at Chen Xing sternly. He didn't look old. He looked like a middle-aged man, but there were a few strands of white hair on his head. He wore a tan robe, and as soon as he stepped into the main hall, a strange aura spread out, causing people to be unable to help but worship him. Yes, elder. Chen Xing stood up. I remember the sect gave you a mission to negotiate with the immortal-seeking sect. Why are you back so soon? Yuan Luo asked. We were intercepted by the immortal-seeking sect. Chen Xing's eyes flashed, and he said in a low voice. Intercepted? Yuan Luo frowned. The immortal-seeking sect was fine. Why would they want to kill you? Chen Xing trembled and clenched his fists tightly. He didn't answer immediately, but after a moment of silence, he suddenly shouted, Great Elder, they are from the immortal-seeking sect. They want to destroy the heaven-knocking pavilion. What? Yuan Luo stood up and said, What do you mean by that? Tell me the truth. Great Elder, we were ordered to go to the immortal-seeking sect to demand an explanation about the kingdom of Ziyu. There were 5 of us, but when we arrived at the White Cloud Waterfall, we ran into 2 disciples of the immortal-seeking sect. We didn't pay much attention to them. Since they are fellow immortals, we can't ruin our relationship because of this. So we want to greet them and ask them to lead us into the immortal-seeking sect. Who would have thought that when these 2 people from the immortal-seeking sect found out that we were from the heaven-knocking pavilion, they immediately cursed and insulted us, insulted our sect, and even threatened. Threatened what? Tell me. Yuan Luo growled, his face dark. Chen Xing was shocked and said in a low voice, They threatened that the heaven-knocking pavilion is nothing, that soon the heaven-knocking pavilion will no longer exist, that we have nothing to fear. Chen Xing added fuel to the fire, and what he was implying, as long as they weren't stupid, they would understand what he was implying. Bang! Yuan Luo slammed the tea table and stood up angrily, shouting, How dare the immortal-seeking sect? A half-immortal sect. How dare they talk big? Damn it! Damn it! 1st Elder. At this time, Chen Xing suddenly knelt down and cried bitterly. Please seek justice for me. Those people from the immortal-seeking sect not only insulted the Heaven Gate, but also they slaughtered our disciples. Junior brother Lu Xiao had his heart dug out by them, and he died a horrible death. Chen Xing was crying his heart out. He was extremely sad. Yuan Luo, who was watching from above, was also confused. He was extremely resentful. Go and have a rest. After a long time, Yuan Luo said, 1st Elder, I will see the pavilion leader immediately. This matter will not be over. What the immortal-seeking sect owes the heaven-knocking pavilion, they must pay double. Yuan Luo snorted and ignored Chen Xing. He turned around and left. Creak! A muffled sound rang out in the quiet villa. This was a forest full of greenery, and this dilapidated villa was located in the middle of the forest. Its geographical location was extremely hidden, so no one came here. However, not long ago, a group of uninvited guests barged into the villa, and these people were Su Shantian, Shan Shueshua, and the others who had escaped from the martial imperial palace. The young girl completed the last step of the formation and activated it. The corpse lying in the center of the formation also emitted an intense light in that instant. A moment later, the corpse opened its eyes and came back to life. He sat up and waved his hands randomly. After moving a little, he sat down on a dusty chair at the side. Uncle, father, father-in-law. The 3 people in the room shouted at the same time. The person who had come back to life was Shen Wuhuang. He was surrounded by several immortals, and it was difficult for his 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. In the end, he was defeated and his body was destroyed. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the young girl, Xiao Chua, acted in time and saved his soul. Only then did he survive, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. Chua, you really did not disappoint me. Shen Wu Huang sighed and said, to be able to take my soul away from several immortals. This method is enough to be proud of. I have meticulously nurtured you to become a talent. You have not let down the expectations of these people. Very good. Uncle, you flatter me. Now is not the time to talk about this. This is not the best place to hide. We need to find a safer place. Xiao Chua said. Father, the martial imperial palace is gone. What should we do now? Shen Shueshu asked. Seeing that Shen Wu Huang was safe and sound, her tensed-up face also relaxed. Shen Wu Huang was silent for a moment. He raised his hand and looked at it, then shook his head. My body was destroyed. Even if my soul was preserved and my body was reborn, it would not change anything. My cultivation has already been lost by more than half. I am no longer the Shen Wu Huang of the past, and it is even more impossible for me to lead the martial imperial palace. I can cultivate again if I lose my cultivation, but the current situation does not give us that much time. Shen Wu Huang said. Everyone in the room fell into silence. Just then, Shen Shueshu suddenly knelt down towards Shen Wu Huang. Shen Wu Huang frowned as he looked at her, but did not pull her up. Father, it was your daughter who harmed you. Shen Shueshu said in a low voice. Why do you say that? If it wasn't for your daughter insisting on father saving Luluo, it wouldn't have attracted so many immortals to attack the martial imperial palace. It's all your daughter's fault. Shen Shueshu's eyes overflowed with tears. Humph! Shen Wu Huang snorted angrily. This old man is not afraid of the heavens or the earth. I do things openly and have never regretted it. Today's outcome can only be said that this old man's methods are not strong enough, and I am unable to protect him. What does it have to do with Luluo? Get up. You are not allowed to say such words to me in the future. Otherwise, I will not have you as my daughter. Father, get up. Shen Wu Huang shouted in a serious tone. Shen Shueshu nodded. He wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and stood up. It's useless to say all of this now. Uncle, what should we do next? Xiao Chua asked indifferently. Let's first gather the disciples. Since I have lost, the disciples will definitely flee, and they will definitely be scattered everywhere. Gather them together and revitalize the martial imperial palace. Shen Wu Huang said. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Xiao Chua shook his head. Why? Uncle's current cultivation is no longer sufficient to command the martial imperial palace. Even if you gather them, it would be very difficult to control them. Furthermore, if you gather those disciples, what should we do if they attract those immortals? Therefore, I suggest that it would be better to give up on the martial imperial palace. Xiao Chua said casually. When she said this, Shen Wu Huang was speechless for a long time. Give up? How could it be easy? Especially for a person like Shen Wu Huang. Letting him give up on the sect that he had built up with his own hands was even more painful than letting him lose all of his cultivation. However, looking at the current situation, Xiao Chua's words were definitely the most correct. In fact, the ones chasing after Shen Wu Huang and the rest were probably no longer the immortals. The goal of the immortals was only to save Su Luluo, and destroying the martial imperial palace was only secondary. Now that Shen Wu Huang and the rest had escaped into the ultimate martial world, finding them again was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, so they had most likely given up. However, giving up did not mean that others would give up. When the martial imperial palace was in trouble, there were probably countless of Shen Wu Huang's enemies searching everywhere. These were the ones who truly needed to hide. Chapter 920. Giving up on the martial imperial hall was not an easy task. Although the martial imperial hall no longer existed, it represented a type of faith, a type of belief. If he gave up, then he, Shen Wu Huang, would truly be defeated by those immortals. Uncle, Chura knows your difficulties and understands your thoughts, but sometimes people have to learn to retreat. Isn't this what you taught Chua? Cultivators should not care about gains and losses. Today's giving up is only to prepare for tomorrow's victory. Please consider carefully. Xiaochua said seriously. Even at this point, she was still able to face it calmly and think calmly. Her temperament was truly not simple. I understand. Shen Wu Huang sighed. His voice was a little gloomy. Chua, don't worry, Shen Wu Huang, can take it up and let it go. Things have already developed to this stage, so naturally it will be like this. It's great that Uncle understands. Uncle, what should we do next? I, Shen Wu Huang, have many enemies and naturally have many friends as well. I still have a few life and death friends. I can recuperate and recover there. Shen Wu Huang said. If that's the case, that would be for the best. I'll write a letter. Chor, bring it to them and tell them about me. Shen Wu Huang said, then turned his head to look at Su Shintian and Shan Shueshua and said softly, the two of you, don't follow me. Quickly leave. Father, why is that? Shan Shueshua asked, in confusion. Su Shintian did not say anything. Sigh. Shen Wu Huang sighed fiercely and said, I am already in trouble. I am afraid this is the most difficult moment in my life. Although I am able to seek refuge with my friends, but I will definitely attract a large number of enemies. Once the battle starts, the situation will be extremely unpredictable. The two of you will only be implicated if you follow me. Daughter is not afraid of being implicated. I'm afraid. Just as Shan Shueshua finished speaking, Shen Wu Huang immediately roared back. Shan Shueshua opened his eyes wide. He looked at Shen Wu Huang in a daze, and then looked at his father's eyes that were filled with pain, anger, and confusion. This was the first time she had seen her father reveal such a look. Su Shintian was also surprised, but thinking about it carefully, it was normal. Shen Wu Huang had lost all of his cultivation. No matter who it was, they would not be able to withstand such a blow, right? For Shen Wu Huang to be able to maintain his calm now, it could already be said to be very powerful. There was a brief silence in the room. After a long while, Shen Wu Huang sighed, raised his hand and patted Shen Shue's head, and said softly, the two of you should leave immediately and go to Beiyang during this period of time. There are many people there, and they are well informed, so there won't be any enemies looking for them, and they can also pay attention to all sorts of things through there. It is the most suitable place to stay, so don't think about looking for Luluo during this period of time. Just wait for the news. Wait for what news? Su Shintian asked. Wait until I recover my strength, Shen Wu said. However, the three of them felt that it was impossible. It was just Shen Wu Huang's comforting words. After what happened to the Martial Imperial Palace, Su Yin had once asked Octagon Aniseed to help investigate the whereabouts of Su Shintian, Shan Shueshua, and the others. Although when Tian Baoling had told them that the two of them were safe and sound, they were still his family, so how could he not be worried? With regards to Su Yun's request, Octagon Aniseed would never refuse and immediately agreed. However, the two of them had more pressing matters to attend to. After returning from the immortal world, Octagon Aniseed immediately gathered all the elders to discuss the matter of mobilizing all the troops in the demon realm. With regards to Octagon Aniseed and Su Yun's decision, the elders were all extremely astonished. Why did he remove the defenses at the border and send the army out? Where is he going? What was he going to do? The defense of the border had cost a lot of manpower and money. Wasn't it like child's play to withdraw, just like that? Although there were elders who objected, Octagon Aniseed did not explain and remained silent. In his opinion, if he were to reveal the matter now, it would only leak the news. Ever since the Supreme Sect was defeated, Octagon Aniseed had taken advantage of the situation to integrate the true Devil Realm. Relying on his great victory, he had won all of the powers that did not submit to the true Devil Sect and prepared for the future. If it wasn't for Octagon Aniseed's thorough consideration, there wouldn't be enough time to integrate the troops. Everything was going on like a raging fire, and the two of them went straight to look for the sect master. Octagon Aniseed meant that this matter required the sect master's consent, so Su Yun naturally felt that it should be the same. However, Whether or not he could see the sect master was still a problem. After all, this guy, even when the enemy was at his doorstep, he would not come out sometimes. When he arrived at the training ground, Octagon Aniseed sent a message. However, what was unexpected was that the sect master was not cultivating. Su Yin was surprised, and Octagon Aniseed was also extremely happy. The two of them quickly walked in. The sect master's cultivation place was very ordinary. It was so ordinary that it was like the cultivation place of an ordinary demon dweller. There was no shocking array formation, nor was there a dazzling array of medicinal pills and magic tools. There was only a bedding, a human skull lamp. He sat cross-legged beside the bone lamp and watched the two walk in. "What's the matter?" the sect master said indifferently. There was a layer of fog in front of him that could not be dispersed. Even though Su Yin was only a few meters away from him, he could not see his appearance clearly. "Yes, a whole bunch." Without waiting for Su Yin to speak, Octagon Aniseed started to complain. "You, the sect master, hide here every day to cultivate. Do you know that I'm about to die of exhaustion? At least go out and take care of the situation. Do you know that our true devil sect is in a dangerous situation right now? You're still pretending to be fine. Are you ashamed? Aren't you ashamed?" He was like a little wife who had been bullied, constantly pouring out his grievances. However, the sect master chose to ignore it. On this point, Su Yun realized that the sect master did better than him. "I'm going to bring the army out of the realm." Su Yun opened his mouth and interrupted Octagon Aniseed's words. "Where to?" "Immortal world," Su Yun said in a low voice. "That's dangerous. It's even more dangerous if we don't go." The sect master was silent. Octagon Aniseed was also very sensible and did not make a sound at this time. He only looked at Su Yun from the side, then looked at the sect master. "Have you decided? I'm asking you. Since you were the one who brought up this matter, the decision is in your hands. I can only decide for myself." "Then you're sure, right?" the sect master said indifferently. "Since that's the case, then go ahead and do it. You don't have to care about anything else. Just do what you want to do. It might bring about a calamity to the true devil sect. Just go and do it." The sect master was still the same. Without any hesitation, without any thought, it was as if he was not the sect master of the true devil sect. Hearing that, Su Yin did not know why, but his heart felt warm. Was this trust? Most likely. "All right, I'll move out with Octagon Aniseed immediately." Su Yin turned and prepared to leave. "Wait." At this moment, the sect master spoke again. "What other orders does the sect master have?" Su Yin asked. "Do you know what the consequences of the devil army entering the immortal world will be? Immortals will kill them all." Su Yin said these words indifferently. "That's right." The sect master nodded his head. "The current true devil realm is no longer the true devil realm of the past. The entire realm is not a match for the people of the immortal world. If you bring so many people and swagger in like this, I'm afraid it won't be long before you attract countless immortal world experts." Immortals and Devil Cultivator were almost mortal enemies. Even though Devil Cultivator was no longer able to contend against Immortals, it still could not change this relationship. "I plan to sneak in." "How do I sneak in?" Su Yin thought for a while, then shook his head. "I haven't thought about it yet." The cultivation grounds once again fell into silence. Octagon Aniseed looked left and right, and finally his gaze landed on the sect master, and he shouted, "Hey, I say, you're still the sect master. Hurry up and think of a way. Is there any way for my army to quietly enter the immortal world?" "Yes." At this moment, the sect master suddenly spoke. Su Yin raised his head and looked at him. The sect master suddenly raised his hand and stretched it out, directly flying out of the clouds. It was an abnormally pale hand, almost devoid of any color of blood, and its nails were pitch black, especially eye-piercing. However, what attracted Su Yun's attention was not the sect master's hand, but the order badge in his hand. "Receive the order," the sect master said indifferently. Su Yun was startled. He did not dare hesitate, and immediately went forward to receive it. This was a very ordinary order badge. It was a pitch-black wooden tablet with a large devil carved on it. Other than that, there were no decorations on it. "What is this?" Octagon Aniseed came over to take a look and asked in confusion. a token created by the creator of the demon realm. We call it the Demon God token. The sect master said in a low voice. Demon God token? Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed were shocked. This order can only be used 3 times, and it has yet to be used. This is something that the previous sect master gave me, and it should not be passed on to others. Today, I will give it to you, Su Yun. For this operation, you will take this order and enter the immortal world alone. At that time, you can activate this order at a critical moment. What will happen after it is activated? Su Yun asked carefully. After activation, all the demons in the true devil realm will immediately be sent to the side of the person holding the order, and it cannot be resisted, the sect master said in a deep voice. With that said, both Octagon Aniseed and Su Yun were dumbstruck, as though they had been petrified, to directly transfer all the demons in the true devil realm to his side. What kind of treasure would be able to do such a thing? To think that there would be such a magic treasure. Octagon Aniseed only regained his senses after a long while. He stared blankly at the pitch-black order badge, his eyes filled with disbelief. Su Yun, I will give this item to you. You do not need to return it to me. It can be considered a little help from me, this irresponsible sect master, to the true devil sect and the true devil realm. The sect master said, and then did not say another word. Hearing that, Su Yun kept his astonished expression. With a solemn expression, he cupped his hands towards the sect master, then turned and left. He knew that from today onwards, his burden would be different. Chapter 921. Su Yun did not know who the creator of the true devil realm was, and whether he was still alive, Su Yun did not know either. However, there was one thing he knew, and that was that the creator's strength was very mysterious. Yes, not powerful, but magical. He had never heard of a treasure like the demonic god token. To be able to teleport a person to its owner's side, was this something an ordinary ability could achieve? Not to mention passing through the entire true devil realm's devil cultivator. Even thinking about this kind of thing was terrifying. What kind of scene would that be? With this weapon, this trip to the immortal world would most likely not be a problem, but Su Yun still had one more worry that made him extremely worried. How would the demons and monsters from the past return to the immortal world return? The grudge between the immortal world and the true devil realm had long been established, so he was not afraid of angering the immortals. However, with so many devil cultivator-s entering the immortal world, it would definitely cause chaos and alert all the immortals in the immortal world. If he did not quickly move these devil cultivator-s away, all the immortals in the immortal world would gather and surround the devil cultivator. The difference in strength between the true devil realm and the immortal world was not just a little bit. Once he was exterminated, Su Yun would become the center of the true devil realm. Should I use the demon god order again when I return to the true demon realm? This seemed to be too extravagant. After all, such a divine object could only be used 3 times, and it was truly inappropriate to waste it like this. He racked his brains, but could not think of a countermeasure. Other than that, all of the devil cultivator-s and demons in the true devil realm needed to be organized and coordinated. It was impossible for him to inform these devil cultivator-s and demons in advance. Otherwise, the news would leak and the situation would only become worse. When the time came, many demons would be sent to the celestial world for no reason and would not know what to do. Once chaos arose, it would be a troublesome matter. Although the sect master had bestowed him a treasure, at the same time that the treasure was powerful, it also caused Su Yun a lot of trouble. Forget it. Let's not think about it anymore. If it really doesn't work, I'll just have to use it again. Su Yun sighed and kept the demon god badge into his spatial bag. Octagon Aniseed was always so efficient. Although every time he saw him, he would always yawn and doze off as if he was slacking off. However, whenever he encountered something big, he would always be the first to complete it. Very quickly, the Devil Cultivator-s, controlled by the True Devil sect, had already gathered at the Realm Gate. Because of the Demon God token, there was no need to remove too much of the defenses at the entrance. Many of the more crucial enchantments were left behind. Once they retreated to the True Devil Realm, they could rely on these enchantments to defend. A single immortal-seeking sect in the immortal world was able to force the true devil realm to such a state. Once the immortals joined hands, the true devil realm would probably not even have the ability to resist. Therefore, this time, he had to finish the battle quickly and not let the immortals react. With everything ready, Su Yun planned to set off and head to the immortal world alone. Octagon Aniseed wanted to travel with him, but was rejected by Su Yun. The power of the true devil realm needed someone to control it. If Octagon Aniseed left, no one would be able to suppress the existence of these devil cultivators. Only by condensing this power, would Su Yun's fist have the power to strike out, and it would hurt. Su Yun, who had left the true devil realm alone, headed towards the Misty Island without stopping. With the help of Octagon Aniseed, in less than a day, he jumped back into the crack that was glowing with a strange light and appeared in the vast and majestic immortal world. With the protection of the Imperial Battle Robe, his chi did not leak, and he could freely enter and exit any realm without being detected by others. This kind of thing, Su Yun was naturally the most suitable person to do. One day later, Su Yun had already entered the White Cloud Waterfall. Entering this place meant that he had stepped into the territory of the immortal-seeking sect. He did not attack immediately, but wandered around the White Cloud Waterfall. Inside the White Cloud Waterfall, he could often see the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect wandering around. At first, Su Yun did not know why they were circling around, until the powerful immortals arrived one after another. Did he understand why they were here? Reception. These disciples were all used to receive the immortals who had rushed to the immortal-seeking sect. There were a lot of immortals. Su Yun waited here for 2 hours, and more than 30 immortals entered the immortal-seeking sect. Their cultivation was extremely strong. Su Yun could not see through them. In terms of numbers, even 10 immortal-seeking sect people could not compare to the true devil sect. But the people of the immortal-seeking sect were all immortals, and none of their cultivations were weak. It was likely that the cultivation of an elite disciple of the immortal-seeking sect would be able to contend against an elder of the true devil sect. The disparity in strength in this battle was simply too great. Now that the immortal-seeking sect had invited so many reinforcements, the true devil sect had no way of fighting back. Su Yun frowned, his heart sinking. The immortal-seeking sect was already more than enough to fight against the true devil sect. But now that they had summoned so many experts, their intentions were clear. They definitely wanted to swallow the true devil realm. Su Yun had obtained the inheritance of the ancient tomb. How could he stay out of it? Crash! Just then, a dazzling purple light suddenly came from the horizon. A light breeze blew, and white clouds floated. The entire immortal world seemed to have become restless because of the appearance of this light. When the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect who were wandering around the White Cloud Waterfall saw the purple light, they immediately rushed over. They lined up in 2 rows and knelt down on one knee. Their expressions were sincere and respectful, and their actions were extremely solemn. When the purple light approached, the disciples immediately shouted in unison, "Greetings, Protector Zilong." Their voices echoed throughout the sky. As the voice spread out, the purple light slowly moved over. The light gradually weakened, and a few figures appeared within the purple light. They were more than 10 immortals dressed in luxurious purple robes. Standing in front of the crowd was a woman with purple hair, wearing a purple robe, and her entire body was covered in colorful gems. The woman had a pretty face, red lips, and white teeth, causing people to be slightly moved. However, her expression was extremely arrogant, and the eyes she used to look at the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect were filled with disdain. None of them looked at them carefully, but only roughly sized them up, as if they felt disgusted just by looking at them. It wasn't easy for this protector to return to the sect, and you sent you trash to welcome this protector? The woman called Zilong coldly snorted. The disciples looked at each other in dismay, but did not dare to make a sound. They only lowered their heads even more. Zilong snorted, the disdain on her face becoming even stronger. Suddenly, she turned her neck, and her gaze landed on a cloud in the distance, and shouted, "Who? Come out!" When Su Yun, who was behind the cloud, heard this, he was shocked. What? She could even sense the imperial battle robe concealing her aura? What exactly was this woman's cultivation level? Or could it be that this woman's magic treasure was incomparably powerful? What is it? Still not coming out? Do you want me to do it myself? Zilong's voice had already become cold. She raised her hand and waved it towards Su Yun, causing the clouds that were covering him to immediately disperse. Su Yun was stunned. Who are you? Zilong stared at Su Yun and shouted coldly. I'm just a passerby. Su Yun immediately said. He had already disguised himself and was no different from an ordinary immortal. Passing by? Which sect are you from? I don't have a sect. Then where are you going? I just want to go to the Immortal Seeking sect. I want to join the Immortal Seeking sect. Su Yun immediately said. Worship? Zilong sized Su Yun up from head to toe and said coldly, I can't see through your cultivation and aura. I can't feel it. If not for the slight abnormality when the cloud and mist floated, I wouldn't have been able to feel your existence. Speak. What is your cultivation level? It's just a spirit sage. Su Yun immediately revealed his cultivation. Then why can't I feel your aura or cultivation? This is probably because of the magic treasure on me. Su Yun could not find an excuse. He couldn't possibly say that he was too trashy, so he couldn't feel it, right? Magic treasure? Zilong's eyes flashed with a strange light, and the corner of his mouth curled up. Is that so? To be able to make a spirit profound, immortal, unable to see through the cultivation of a spirit sage. This magic treasure is probably not some ordinary item, right? Quickly remove that magic treasure and hand it over to this protector. You are openly robbing me. Su Yun was stunned. How can this protector call it stealing what I want? It's just taking it. Zilong snorted and immediately rushed forward, appearing in front of Su Yun in the blink of an eye. Her speed was very fast, but to Su Yun, who was already at his limit, she was still able to react to this degree. However, if she were to fight with this person now, she would definitely expose the devil chi. Once her devil chi was leaked, the Immortal Seeking sect would be on guard, and the situation would be terrible. The entire plan would most likely fail. At that time, everyone's efforts would be for naught. Thinking about that, Su Yun secretly heaved a sigh of relief and immediately turned to leave. However, Zilong's hand suddenly released a ray of purple light, which turned into a palm and fiercely slapped Su Yun's back. Bang! Su Yun did not dodge and forcefully took the attack and was sent flying, falling onto the cloud ground in the distance. With the protection of the Imperial battle armor, this level of attack did not affect him at all. However, in order to put on an act and confuse this person, he still chose to activate his bloodline. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. You have a good treasure, but it's only at this level? Hee. A trash like you wants to enter the Immortal Seeking sect? Give up. The Immortal Seeking sect never accepts trash. Zilong said with a cold smile, and walked towards Su Yun step by step. Is that so? Su Yun's eyes unconsciously revealed a trace of killing intent. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, but still endured his anger. He did not act impulsively, and instead turned to run. Zilong was about to move, but just at that moment, an ear-piercing sound of something tearing through the air came from the horizon, and only a series of chirping sounds could be heard rushing towards it. Zilong raised his head to take a look, and when he saw the people rushing over, he was immediately stunned. People from the heaven-knocking pavilion. Furthermore, they covered the sky and covered the earth. Their numbers were extremely shocking, reaching tens of thousands of people. Chapter 922. The sudden appearance of the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion caught Zilong off guard, and she had no choice but to give up on chasing after Su Yun. These people came very quickly, and in the blink of an eye, they barged into the white cloud waterfall and quickly approached Zilong. People from the heaven-knocking pavilion? Why did you bring so many people to my Immortal Seeking sect? Zilong shouted loudly. To seek justice. The leading elder from the heaven-knocking pavilion roared, and directly smashed his palm towards Zilong. The immortal power in his palm erupted, transforming into a chi hand that was several meters long and several meters wide, fiercely pressing down on Zilong. The people from the immortal-seeking sect were shocked to see that the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion were all furious, and they understood that these people had come with killing intent. Purple Yuan, immortal power, Zilong bellowed. The purple light around her body erupted once again, and the chi palm attack was directly dissolved by the purple light. Zilong withdrew the purple light and stared at the countless experts of the heaven-knocking pavilion who were rushing over, her face extremely gloomy. She directly turned, and without saying a word, she directly rushed into the interior of the immortal-seeking sect, completely ignoring the remaining followers and disciples of the immortal-seeking sect. Zilong's speed was astonishingly fast, but those disciples didn't have such speed. The people from the heaven-knocking pavilion aggressively rushed over, directly shattering the bodies of these disciples and imprisoning their souls, not giving them any face at all. The entire auspicious and beautiful white cloud waterfall immediately became extremely chaotic. Blood dyed the pure white clouds red, and even the strange scene of a white dragon falling was disrupted by these exposed immortals. The people from the heaven-knocking pavilion suddenly attacked, and when they met the people from the immortal-seeking sect, they did not give them any face, destroying their bodies and imprisoning their souls. They were like an unstoppable army, crazily charging towards the encampment of the immortal-seeking sect that was standing behind the white cloud waterfall. Blood splattered all along the way. Broken limbs were like sesame seeds that had fallen onto the white ground everywhere. The slaughter had officially begun. However, the tyrannical people of the heaven-knocking pavilion did not realize that there was someone sneakily following behind them. Tens of thousands of immortals had come to the heaven-knocking pavilion this time. They had mobilized almost all of their strength. This time, they were only fighting for one last breath. The immortal-seeking sect was merely a half-immortal sect. Its overall strength could not be compared to the pavilion of heaven-knocking. However, the people of the pavilion of heaven-knocking had died in the hands of the immortal-seeking sect time and again. This was no longer just arrogant and condescending. This was a complete provocation. Towards the provocation of the weak, the heaven-knocking pavilion only had one response: counterattack. They wanted to let the immortal-seeking sect know who had the bigger fist between the two sects. Zilong returned from the white cloud waterfall and immediately ran to the main entrance of the immortal-seeking sect. The vice-sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect, Xiangyang, was in the main hall receiving the other immortal experts who had been summoned. The main hall was filled with more than 50 people. Xiangyang sat at the head of the main hall, smiling as he spoke with assurance. He wore a golden robe with brown patterns all over it. He looked very luxurious. He looked like a middle-aged man in his 50s. His skin was slightly dark, his forehead was full of wrinkles, his beard was sparse, and his eyes were slightly narrowed. He gave people a strong sense of intimacy. He did not look like the vice-sect leader at all. You have come from far. The immortal-seeking sect is really honored by your presence. Today, I, Xiangyang, am here to thank you all. Xiangyang stood up with a smile and cupped his fists. Sect leader Xiang is too polite. How can we not come when the immortal-seeking sect has something to do? That's right. The immortal-seeking sect's business is our business. I am indebted to the immortal-seeking sect. Although I am not a member of the immortal-seeking sect, I will definitely go through fire and water for the immortal-seeking sect. Some of the people in the main hall hurried to cater to Xiangyang, saying lofty words and nice words. Xiangyang was obviously in a good mood. He quickly waved his hand and said, "Thank you all for your help. Please don't be impatient. I have invited you all here today because I have something important to say. Sect leader Xiang, if you have something to say, just say it. We will definitely support you. Thank you very much." Xiangyang nodded with a smile. He did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. The reason why I invited you all here today is to ask you to follow my immortal-seeking sect to the true devil realm. We will completely purge this evil and ugly realm and erase this filthy place. Deal with the true devil realm? Everyone was shocked. This is not a simple matter. A middle-aged woman in yellow stood up, bowed, and said, "Sect leader Xiang, the true devil realm is not strong. It will be easy for the immortal-seeking sect to destroy it, but it is not easy for immortals to leave the realm without permission. If there is no proper reason, the master of ceremony of the immortal court will not allow it. They will be worried that we will take the opportunity to absorb more resources and strengthen ourselves, thus threatening them. If we eradicate the true devil realm, we will definitely be able to obtain a large amount of resources, enough to develop the immortal forces. The other immortal sects will not just watch us take action. If it wasn't for this, how could the true devil realm have survived until now? If we don't solve these two problems, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to the true devil realm." The yellow-clothed Taoist master is right. Xiang Yang nodded. He swept his gaze across the crowd and discovered that everyone's gazes were focused on him. It was obvious that everyone had the same question. Actually, these two problems have already been solved. Solved? How? Very easy. Xiang Yang laughed. First of all, the name of the master. I think all of you have more or less heard of the matter of the true devil realm destroying the supreme sect, right? I heard it from one of my disciples a few days ago. Originally, I wholeheartedly cultivated to become an immortal, but this kind of nonsense always inadvertently flowed into my ears. I heard that the supreme sect and the immortal-seeking sect have some sort of relationship. Could it be that this is the name? Everyone started to speak, and the main hall became a little chaotic. That's right, Xiang Yang nodded and said in a low voice. Actually, everyone does not know. The sect leader of the supreme sect is the adopted son of the sect leader of my immortal-seeking sect. Adopted son? Everyone was stunned. It was obvious that they did not know about this matter. It is my foster son, but he did not want to stay in the immortal-seeking sect to cultivate, so he created his own supreme sect and established his own sect. The establishment of the supreme sect is actually mostly supported by my immortal-seeking sect. Otherwise, how could it be so prosperous? But for some reason, a realm master appeared in the true devil realm and was exterminated. The sect master's son was killed, and this enmity was irreconcilable. Therefore, the sect master personally gave the order to gather us to discuss important matters and prepare to eradicate the true devil realm. Firstly, it is to return peace to the myriad realms. Secondly, it is to understand the influence of the traitor in the immortal world. And thirdly, it is to avenge his foster son. So that's how it is. Everyone nodded. Has the immortal court verified it? Of course, if the forgery was discovered by the immortal court, they would be punished by the immortal court. The forger and the leader would be directly killed, and the sect would also be destroyed. I believe that no one in the entire immortal world would dare to do such a thing. But this matter is absolutely true and is not an excuse for forgery. Then what do the other sects think? I'm afraid they won't just watch as the immortal-seeking sect does such a thing. I know. Xiang Yang laughed. The reason why the true devil realm has not been destroyed by the immortal world for so many years is actually because of the restrictions between the people of the immortal world. Otherwise, any random sect will be enough to eradicate the true devil realm. But this kind of restriction is not permanent. The true devil realm has been struggling at death's door for so long. It's time to end it. After saying that, Xiang Yang's gaze turned, and he cupped his fists. Everyone, this time, after we gather the troops, we will immediately take a shortcut and head straight for the true devil realm. While the other immortal powers have yet to notice, we will conquer the entire true devil realm with lightning speed. Shortcut? Everyone's appetite was piqued by Xiang Yang's words. Where's the shortcut? When immortals set off from the immortal world, they will need to pass through a few realms before they can reach the true devil realm. One immortal is fine, but bringing a group of immortals will definitely delay a lot of time. In this way, it will be easy to buy time for the other immortal sections. Once the other immortals get involved, our plans will all fail, but now is different from the past. The sect master has used his supreme divine ability to create an extraordinary path. We can use this path to directly enter the ultimate martial world's devil blood road and reach the entrance of the true devil realm. After breaking through the entrance, we can go straight in and kill our way into the true devil realm. Which path is it? Everyone was already getting impatient with Xiangyang. Supreme Realm. Xiangyang laughed. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. Supreme Realm? From the immortal world to the Supreme Realm? Xiangyang spoke so confidently. Could it be that the immortal-seeking sect and the Supreme One Realm had always been linked together? Purge the true devil realm? Sect Master Xiang, I think we should put this matter aside for now. The uninvited guest has arrived. At this moment, a purple figure suddenly rushed into the main hall and rudely interrupted Xiangyang's words. Everyone looked over and saw the person who had arrived. They all stood up and bowed to him. Greetings, Protector Zilong. Zilong, you're here. Facing Zilong's rudeness, Xiangyang was not angry at all. Instead, he welcomed her with a smile. Everyone present knew why. Although Zilong had a bad temper and was extremely arrogant, she was still loyal to the immortal-seeking sect. After this matter was decided and she was summoned back, she immediately rushed back. More importantly, Zilong's cultivation was extremely powerful. No matter who it was, they would always respect the strong from the bottom of their hearts. Stop talking nonsense. The people from the heaven-knocking pavilion have arrived. Quickly informed the sect master to deal with the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion. Zilong said in a low voice. Heaven-knocking pavilion. Xiangyang furrowed his brows. Has their messenger arrived? If that's the case, let them in. I believe this is just a misunderstanding. Just compensate them with some magic treasures. We are about to start a war with the true devil realm, so we can't cause trouble here. What messenger? The heaven-knocking pavilion has come out in full force. Right now, it's almost an army that is attacking our immortal-seeking sect. Zilong almost growled. When these words fell to the ground, everyone was shocked. Report. Vice Sect Master, report. The sect has been attacked. At this moment, a disciple rushed in panic and shouted at the top of his lungs. Chapter 923. Xiangyang almost couldn't believe his ears. Why would the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion attack the immortal-seeking sect for no reason? Were they crazy? It was just the lives of a few ordinary disciples. Was it worth it for the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion to do this? The people in the main hall were also astonished and could hardly come back to their senses. What did the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion want to do? Vice Sect Leader, quickly send someone to stop the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion. They are attacking the immortal-seeking sect fiercely. Many senior and junior brothers have already died tragically. We can't hold them off any longer. The disciple who reported the news saw that Xiangyang didn't give any instructions and immediately cried out. Xiangyang raised his eyebrows and came to his senses. He didn't rush to say anything, but thought for a while. Then he waved his hand and said, Protector Zilong, quickly report this matter to the sect leader. In addition, elders immediately gather all the disciples, but don't go to fight against the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion. Wait for my signal, and I'll go negotiate with them first. If we bring people over, I'm afraid the situation will go out of control and we'll fight them directly. Although the development of the immortal-seeking sect is not as good as that of the pavilion of heaven-knocking pavilion, we're not afraid of them. But if the two sides fight, no matter who wins, it won't be a good thing. Moreover, this is the territory of the immortal-seeking sect. Yes, got it. Zilong and the elders of the immortal-seeking sect responded and immediately retreated. Xiangyang took a light breath and quickly flew out of the main hall. The immortals who had been invited weren't too afraid, so they followed after them one by one. As soon as he left the main hall, he could hear the sound of an explosion coming from the immortal-seeking sect. In the distance, there were a large number of immortal-seeking sect disciples in the sky. They were all panicking and scurrying like headless flies. The sky behind them seemed to be set on fire. It was especially terrifying. Xiangyang didn't fly far before he could feel the terrifying pressure coming from afar. As the vice sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect, his cultivation was naturally very strong. But in the face of this pressure, he also felt a sense of suffocation. Feeling this aura, Xiangyang's expression suddenly changed slightly. If they were ordinary disciples of the pavilion of heaven, knocking pavilion, how could they give him such a feeling? He was afraid that even the big shots of the pavilion of heaven, knocking pavilion had come. Why was this happening? It was just a conflict between a few disciples. Even if it was the fault of the immortal seeking sect, there was no need for the heaven knocking pavilion to do this, right? Xiangyang felt that things might not be as he had imagined. Without hesitation, he sped up and rushed toward the direction of the pavilion of heaven knocking. As he flew, he did not forget to shout, "Stop! Everyone from the pavilion of heaven knocking, please stop. I am a vice sect leader of the immortal seeking sect. Xiangyang, please stop." He activated his immortal power, and his voice spread far and wide. However, the people from the heaven knocking pavilion showed no signs of stopping. They continued to chase after the fleeing immortal seeking sect disciples. The dismembered corpses fell down like raindrops. Before the souls could escape, they were caught tightly by the people of the heaven knocking pavilion and imprisoned in their magic tools. The scene was especially chaotic. The eyes of the members of the heaven kowtow pavilion had already turned red from the slaughter, and their rage shot into the sky. It seemed as if there was already no room for discussion. How could this be? Xiangyang had no idea what was going on. The people of the immortal seeking sect retreated again and again. They were only a half-immortal sect. How could they be a match for the people of the heaven kowtow pavilion? Soon, half of the immortal seeking sect had fallen. The roof tiles were all destroyed, and the people were all killed. The remaining people were all moving backward. If this continued, the immortal seeking sect would be destroyed by the heaven kowtow pavilion. What are the people of the heaven kowtow pavilion trying to do? Are they really going to destroy my sect today? If they act rashly without a good reason, they will be viewed as public enemies by the entire immortal world. The immortal court will not let them go. Xiangyang gritted his teeth and pondered. Stop for a moment. At this moment, a stern shout came from the side of the heaven kowtow pavilion. When this voice appeared, all the disciples who were chasing the heaven kowtow pavilion stopped. They stood in a row and floated in the sky. At this moment, Xiangyang was less than 100 meters away from them. A suffocating pressure assaulted him. Xiangyang endured this pressure and sized up the incoming people. Only now did he realize that the people who had rushed here were the elites of the heaven kowtow pavilion. No wonder the immortal seeking sect couldn't fight back. The heaven kowtow pavilion was completely serious. The immortals were dressed in white, and their bodies were surrounded by clouds and mist. Their eyes were bright and full of expression, and every single one of them was in high spirits like the blazing sun and bright moon. Xiangyang frowned, but he didn't dare to show an expression that was too ugly. He just stepped forward respectfully and cupped his fists. Fellow immortals of the heaven kowtow pavilion, why have you come to the immortal seeking sect? What has the immortal seeking sect done to offend the heaven kowtow pavilion? The people of the heaven kowtow pavilion acted as if they didn't hear him. They didn't respond at all, and no one answered. Xiangyang was stunned and felt his face turn dark. However, they were strong, and he was weak, so he had to swallow his anger. At this moment, there was a sudden commotion among the people of the heaven kowtow pavilion. A person walked out of the crowd. Xiangyang looked at the person who walked out, and his face lit up with joy. It's Elder Yuan Luo. Elder Yuan Luo. It's our honor to have Elder Yuan Luo here. Xiangyang bowed to Yuan Luo. However, Yuan Luo snorted and said in a deep voice, Xiangyang, don't try that. The heaven kowtow pavilion doesn't have such a good relationship with you. Don't try to curry favor with us. We're not here to talk nonsense with you today, but to settle things with you. Doesn't the immortal seeking sect like to provoke the heaven kowtow pavilion? Doesn't the immortal seeking sect say that you can easily wipe us out? Isn't the immortal seeking sect arrogant? Fine. Today I'll show you the power of the heaven kowtow pavilion. With that, Yuan Luo waved his hand and shouted, Kill! Kill! The experts of the heaven kowtow pavilion behind Yuan Luo immediately rushed over and attacked Xiangyang. Huh? Xiangyang was dumbfounded. He thought that Yuan Luo would negotiate with him, but he just threw down a sentence and started killing again. He didn't show any mercy. He left no way out. The immortals were furious and full of resentment. Not only did Yuan Luo not want to negotiate with Xiangyang, even the disciples of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion didn't want to. They were strong cultivators. However, this weakling had provoked and humiliated them time and time again. How could they tolerate that? How could the pride and self-esteem of the strong endure it? So today, they decided to fight back and prove to the other party just how strong they were. Xiangyang was no fool. He had already seen through Yuan Luo's attitude, but he didn't know if the other party didn't want to talk or if he didn't want to. But if he didn't fight back now, the immortal seeking sect would really be finished. With that thought in mind, Xiangyang took out a signal and sent it into the air to inform Zilong behind him. Then, he led the immortals to retreat. When Zilong got the news, he immediately led a large number of elites of the immortal-seeking sect out to fight the people of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion. The battle between the two sides immediately broke out, and the two groups were locked in a fierce battle. No one would have thought that the immortal-seeking sect and the Heaven Caodao Pavilion would have such a grudge. Although this was the immortal-seeking sect, and the immortal-seeking sect had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers, in a fight between immortals, numbers alone were useless. Only powerful strength could decide the outcome of any fight or even a war. A powerful immortal could destroy millions of immortals with one move. For the immortal-seeking sect, there were many powerful immortals in the Heaven Caodao Pavilion. In the blink of an eye, most of the corpses falling from the sky were from the immortal-seeking sect. Zilong led his people out, and in less than 2 hours, the number of corpses had been reduced by a third. Seeing this, Xiangyang, who was commanding the rear, was heartbroken. The immortal-seeking sect had already lost this battle. There was no point in continuing. And after this, the trip to the true demonic realm would probably be delayed. Why is it like this? Alas, Xiangyang secretly gritted his teeth. At this time, his eyes suddenly turned cold. He reached out and grabbed a disciple of the immortal-seeking sect. The disciple was caught off guard and was caught in his hand. The disciple's face was full of fear, and his body was trembling. He had lost all will to fight. Xiangyang grabbed his collar and growled, "Why are you running? Vice sect leader. We're no match for them at all. The people of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion are too strong. They're too strong. We are no match for them at all," the disciple shouted in a trembling voice. But as soon as he finished speaking, Xiangyang suddenly stretched out his hand and tore off his arm. The disciple let out a miserable scream, and blood spurted from his broken arm. No one is allowed to run away. Otherwise, the next time I tear off your arm, it will not be your arm, but your head. Xiangyang roared ferociously, and then threw the disciple in the direction of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion. "Fight for me." His cultivation level was high, and his strength was great. That disciple was unable to control his body and was thrown towards the heaven-knocking pavilion. Before he could stabilize himself, he was hit by a celestial art that had been unleashed by an unknown person, and his body directly exploded. A snowflake bloomed in the blue sky. Seeing this, the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect turned pale. They knew that Xiangyang was also in a mess. But at this moment, they had no way to retreat. If it did not fight to the death, they would only be waiting for destruction. Because the people of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion did not intend to let anyone of the immortal-seeking sect go. The battle became more and more intense, and the killing became more and more brutal. The morale of the immortal-seeking sect was completely destroyed by the powerful means of the people of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion. They were still here because they believed that they would not be the next to die. The people of the Heaven Caodao Pavilion were bored. After killing so many people, their anger had been alleviated. Yuan Luo also gave the order to slow down. "All of you stop." At this moment, a solemn voice suddenly came from the back of the immortal-seeking sect. Chapter 924. This voice was like a pause button, instantly freezing the attacks from both sides. Despite the chaos, the voice was still loud and clear. "It's the patriarch. Cheers of joy came from the immortal-seeking sect. The patriarch is here. The patriarch is finally here. We are saved. The patriarch is here. We are definitely saved. The disciples of the immortal-seeking sect were all very excited. At this moment, the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was like a savior in their eyes. His appearance at this time gave these people who were at the end of their rope a glimmer of light and hope. Yuan Luo was not in a hurry to let the people from the pavilion of heaven knocking attack. He raised his hand and signaled for everyone to stop. The people from the two immortal sects stood quietly above the immortal-seeking sect, facing each other. Soon, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the immortal-seeking sect, in front of Xiangyang. This person seemed to have appeared out of thin air, without any warning. Many people didn't even have time to react, let alone how he got here. However, as soon as he appeared, the entire immortal-seeking sect knelt down on one knee and shouted, "Greetings, Patriarch!" Their voices were extremely pious. This was their faith in many people. Yuan Luo inclined his head and stared at the existence standing at the front of the immortal-seeking sect. This was an old man clad in a black robe with golden runes all over his body. His expression was solemn, exuding an aura of majesty even without being angry. He had white hair and a white beard, exuding a transcendent aura. Just by standing there, he gave off a feeling of being one with the heavens and earth. This was the patriarch of the immortal-seeking sect, the supreme leader of the sect. However, facing such a person, Yuan Luo did not show much respect. He was still arrogant and angry. "Elder Yuan." At this moment, the immortal-seeking sect's patriarch spoke. His voice was very magnetic. "Why did you bring so many people from the pavilion of heaven knocking to the immortal-seeking sect? Are you planning to destroy the immortal-seeking sect?" "Not at the moment," Yuan Luo said calmly. "Today, we are only here to settle scores. Otherwise, how will the pavilion of heaven knocking maintain its dignity in the future?" "What scores? Your immortal-seeking sect has killed my people time and time again," Yuan Luo growled. The anger in his voice was hard to contain. His words stunned Xiangyang and the others. "What do you mean? Has anyone from my immortal-seeking sect ever done such a thing? And why did he kill the people of your heaven-knocking pavilion?" Sect Master Immortal-Seeking asked. "How would I know?" Yuan Luo gave a cold harumph. Xian waved her hand, and a few disciples walked out from the crowd of heaven's knocking pavilion disciples. These disciples even had a strand of their souls with them as they stood behind Yuan Luo. "Chen Xing, don't be afraid. Tell me everything that happened." Yuan Luo growled. Chen Xing nodded and immediately pointed at the people from the immortal-seeking sect, shouting, "Yes, Elder. Because of what happened in the kingdom of Ziyu, we were sent to the immortal-seeking sect as envoys to demand an explanation from them. However, as soon as we entered the White Cloud Waterfall, we were attacked by the people from the immortal-seeking sect without any explanation. Junior brother was killed, and we had to flee for our lives. The people from the immortal-seeking sect were simply too arrogant. Not only did they insult us, but they also insulted our sect. They even threatened to annex our heaven-knocking pavilion, to become the lord of the immortal world." Chun Xing had Yuan Luo's support, so he was not afraid of the immortal-seeking sect master. Thinking back to the fear and humiliation of that day, he was filled with anger. Although what he said was the truth, he could not help but exaggerate. As soon as these words were spoken, the people of Heaven Knocking Pavilion were instantly enraged. The anger that had just subsided surged again. Everyone's killing intent was extremely strong, and they could not wait to rush up and fight the people from the immortal-seeking sect. On the other hand, the people of the immortal-seeking sect all had ugly expressions. They all knew that there was still a gap between the immortal-seeking sect and heaven-knocking pavilion. How could there be such an arrogant person in the sect who dared to provoke them so arrogantly? "You're Chen Xing, right?" Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect's gaze fell on Chen Xing. "That's me." Chen Xing did not dare to meet Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect's eyes. He lowered his head and said, Let me ask you, are you sure what you're saying is the truth? If you think that what I said is false, you can ask the junior brothers beside me. They're all people who went with me to the immortal-seeking sect. And this one's body was destroyed by your people. Chen Xing pointed to the soul beside him. Why did you go to my immortal-seeking sect? What's the matter? Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect asked again. It's naturally the matter of the Purple Moon Immortal Island. Your people killed someone from my sect in the ultimate martial world's Purple Moon Immortal Country. How can we just let this matter go? Oh, Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect turned to look at Xiang Yang and asked indifferently, have we sent anyone to the ultimate martial world recently? No. Xiang Yang nodded without hesitation. Since no one has been sent, has anyone left the sect and the immortal world without permission? Furthermore, no one is allowed to leave the sect without permission. This is the rule. Since no one has left the sect, then everyone from Heaven Knocking Pavilion. How can you be sure that this matter is related to us? How can you be sure that the people who killed you are from my immortal-seeking sect? Do you have any evidence? Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect asked. The people from Heaven Knocking Pavilion were in a dilemma. Yuan Luo's face darkened and said in a low voice, even if we have no evidence regarding the matter with the Kingdom of Ziyu, then what about the matter of the envoy being killed? How are you going to explain this to us? The witnesses and the victims are all here. What do you have to say? The Immortal Court will not protect you in this matter. Sect Master Wei, don't say that I did not give you face. If you do not give us a satisfactory explanation today, I'm afraid this battle will not end so easily. As these words fell, the surrounding people from the Immortal-Seeking Sect all started to panic. Was this the attitude of the Heaven Knocking Pavilion? If they continued to fight, the situation would be extremely disadvantageous to the Immortal-Seeking Sect. Your Heaven Knocking Pavilion sure has a lot of people. Finally, Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect's patience had reached its limit. He raised his bright eyes and stared at Yuan Luo in the distance. His voice became more and more solemn. Do you really think that my half-immortal sect is easy to bully? I just want to seek justice. But you have no physical evidence, only a witness, and this person is also from your Heaven Knocking Pavilion. Strictly speaking, he does not count as a witness. Moreover, this matter is full of doubts and confusing. How can you come to a conclusion? If someone is framing us, how can we clear our names? Yuan Luo heard this and fell silent. He raised his head and looked at Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect, only to see that his eyes were filled with murderous intent and his expression was extremely solemn. Seeing this, Yuan Luo knew that Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect had already made up his mind to fight against the Heaven Knocking Pavilion. Previously, the people from the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking were able to kill their way over like a hot knife cutting through butter, defeating the people from the Immortal-Seeking Sect, but that was only because of the effect of the surprise attack. After all, the people from the Immortal-Seeking Sect did not expect the people from the Pavilion of Heaven Knocking to attack. However, things were different now. The sect leader of the Immortal-Seeking Sect had personally come out, and the scattered sand had a pillar of support. In addition, this was the base of the Immortal-Seeking Sect. If they really fought, even if they won, the Heaven Knocking Pavilion would suffer great losses. The gains would not make up for the losses. Then what does Sect Master Wei plan to do? Yuan Luo said. Many people could tell that he did not want to make things too big. Although he was in the right and the Immortal Court turned a blind eye, if things got out of hand, the Immortal Court would not be indifferent. If you can find the person who killed your Heaven Knocking Pavilion, I am willing to hand over that disciple to the Heaven Knocking Pavilion and compensate you for all your losses. Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect said indifferently. But if you can't find him, if all of this is just groundless nonsense, then I think your sect will have to give justice to the people of my Immortal-Seeking Sect who died. What if I don't give it to you? Yuan Luo immediately harumphed. I guarantee that you won't be able to walk out of the Immortal-Seeking Sect. Sect Master Immortal-Seeking Sect said coldly, his voice filled with extreme coldness. You have that confidence. In order to protect the sect, I can only choose to fight you to the death. Sect Master Immortal Seeking Sect's words were straightforward. Yuan Luo only realized after hearing that he had forced this group of people into a corner. If the Immortal Seeking Sect still wanted to establish itself in the immortal world, Sect Master Immortal Seeking Sect, had to do this today, or the Immortal Seeking Sect would fall apart. Yuan Luo stared intently at Wei Zhongzhu for a long time before he nodded and chose to give in. I understand. In that case, I will let these persecuted disciples identify the culprit. If that's the case, that's fine. Sect Master Immortal Seeking Sect nodded, a hint of relief in his bright eyes. If you deliberately hide the culprit, I'll be at your disposal, Sect Master Immortal Seeking Sect said solemnly. Sect Master, the people of the Immortal Seeking Sect cried out. But the Sect Master had already made his decision, and others could not change it. Straightforward. Yuan Luo nodded, then shouted at Chen Xing. You guys, go and identify the culprit. Once you find the culprit, bring them out immediately. Yes. Chen Xing nodded, then flew out with the remaining 3 toward the Immortal Seeking Sect. The people of the Immortal Seeking Sect had all gathered here. They were densely packed everywhere. However, the Immortals had very good eyesight. Even though there were so many people here, their eyes swept across very quickly. They could remember every face in just an instant. But after a round, Chen Xing and the rest were surprised to find that the culprit was not among the crowd. What's wrong? Did you find him? Xiang Yang asked. Chen Xing's face was covered in sweat as he flew around the crowd, searching everywhere. Could it be that he was among the people of the Immortal Seeking Sect who were killed by you? No, we've already checked it out. Then did you find him or not? The people of the Immortal Seeking Sect were getting impatient. This Chen Xing guy had already searched 3 times, but to no avail. Looks like he's not from the Immortal Seeking Sect. All of this is just a farce directed by you guys. Sect Master Immortal Seeking Sect spoke. Yuan Luo's expression changed slightly. He stared at Chen Xing and growled. Chen Xing, are you sure it was the people of the Immortal Seeking Sect who attacked you? You better take a good look. If it's not you who caused this misunderstanding, then you'll be the center of the heaven-knocking pavilion. Chapter 925. Hearing this, Chen Xing couldn't help but tremble. He turned to the other 3 junior brothers and asked in a low voice, Have you found the 2 people who attacked us? No, senior brother, we can't find them at all. I've checked the people of the Immortal Seeking Sect that we killed, and those 2 people are not among them. The 2 people we saw were from the Immortal Seeking Sect, right? That's right. I guess the Immortal Seeking Sect must be hiding them. But if they are hiding, there's nothing we can do. Elder Yuan, you can't take action because of this. Otherwise, it will violate the rules of the Immortal Court. If the sect suffers a loss, we'll be doomed. Then what should we do now? If we can't find them, let alone the Immortal Court, our sect will lose face, and we'll have to bear the consequences. What should we do? Senior brother, don't panic. Chen Xing rolled his eyes and said in a low voice, Since the Immortal Seeking Sect has hidden them, that means this matter has something to do with the Immortal Seeking Sect. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. Anyway, it's the Immortal Seeking Sect's fault. It's all the same. Hearing this, the other 3 immediately understood what Chen Xing meant. However, there was no other choice. After thinking for a moment, they nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Chen Xing didn't hesitate anymore. He turned around and pretended to look for them. The others also pretended to look for them. Everyone's eyes were fixed on them, especially Chen Xing's. Chen Xing walked around the crowd of the Immortal Seeking Sect. Suddenly, he shouted excitedly, I found him! It's him! It's this guy! It's him! Elder, it's this guy who attacked us. He pointed at a dark-skinned, honest-looking disciple of the Immortal Seeking Sect and shouted. Bring him out! Yuan Luo shouted immediately. Whoosh! 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 2 experts of the heaven-knocking pavilion rushed out from the side. They rushed into the crowd of the Immortal Seeking Sect at lightning speed and grabbed the man pointed out by Chen Xing. The Immortal Seeking Sect leader didn't stop them. That person barely had any reaction before he was brought to the middle of the two sects. Only then did he come to his senses. Hearing Chen Xing's words, the disciple of the immortal-seeking sect was so scared that he almost fell from the sky. He hurriedly shouted, "I'm innocent. I'm not. I'm not the one who intercepted them. I don't even know them. Elder Yuan, please investigate clearly. Sect leader, save me." However, his words had no effect at all. Which criminal would admit his mistakes? Yuan Luo snorted coldly and turned to sect leader Immortal Seeking. "Sect leader Wei, what else do you have to say?" The people of the Immortal Seeking sect all turned to look at the Immortal Seeking sect leader, waiting for his answer. A few people from the Immortal Seeking sect immediately stood up and shouted, "Sect master, this junior brother Lu is definitely innocent. He has been guarding the pill furnace room with us for the past few days and has not left at all. There is no way he would go and kill people from the heaven-knocking pavilion." "That's right, sect leader. What's more, he doesn't have that kind of cultivation. He's just at the peak of the spirit sage. How could he kill those people? I think those people's cultivations are much higher than Junior Brother Lu's. Furthermore, Junior Brother Lu has no enmity with them. Why would he want to kill them?" Sect leader is wise. The words of these people caused everyone to be confused. If this disciple surnamed Lu was innocent, wouldn't that mean that Qin Xing was randomly pointing fingers? The possibility of this was extremely high. After all, the heaven-knocking pavilion needed a way out, and Qin Xing also needed to protect his own life. If he could not find the person, then he would not be able to explain himself. There were so many people here. How could they allow him to cause a ruckus? However, the words that came out of Sect Master Wen Xian's mouth were beyond everyone's expectations. "I have nothing to say. Since you have already found the person, then I will hand him over to you. In addition, as an apology, I will choose another batch of magic treasures and pills to offer to the heaven-knocking pavilion as compensation for this matter." Sect leader Wen Xian said indifferently. With that said, everyone in the Immortal Seeking sect was dumbstruck. Sect leader, this Elder Yuan, what do you think?" Sect leader Wen Xian ignored the words of the disciples and insisted. "Fine." Yuan Luo nodded in satisfaction. Sect leader Wen Xian had already made a concession, and he had the face to step down. Why was he still being so overbearing? The people of the Immortal Seeking sect were not fools. Most of them could tell that their sect leader was planning to keep the peace. Putting aside whether the disciple with the surname Lu was innocent, even if he did not kill the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion, the sect leader would not care about him. What he wanted to do now was to ask the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion to leave. Therefore, the disciple with the surname Lu had to be sacrificed. That would be for the best. Sect leader Wen Xian said indifferently, "I will hand the person over to you. In addition, I will let Xiangyang be responsible for the compensation. 3 days later, he will personally bring the compensation to the heaven-knocking pavilion." Sect leader Wei is righteous and reasonable. You are indeed worthy of being the leader of a sect. Yuan Luo admires you. Yuan Luo smiled slightly, but his smile was a little strange. He cupped his fists and said, "Since the misunderstanding has been resolved, I will not stay any longer. Farewell." Having said that, he turned around and soared into the sky, leaving the Immortal Seeking sect. The other disciples of the heaven-knocking pavilion also moved, flying out together with Yuan Luo. Beams of light streaked across the sky like a meteor shower. The departure of the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion marked the official end of the conflict between the two sections. Of course, this so-called end was just the result of the weak submitting to the strong. Sect leader Wen Xian did not say anything else. He just withdrew his gaze from the sky. The people of the heaven-knocking pavilion left one after another. That disciple surnamed Lu was still madly screaming, calling out, "I'm innocent." But no matter how loud his voice was, it was as if it didn't reach the ears of the Immortal Seeking sect master. Soon, the disciple surnamed Lu was taken away, and the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion also left. The people of the Immortal Seeking sect heaved a sigh of relief, but more people had serious expressions. especially the disciples who guarded the pill furnace room with the disciple surnamed Lu. All of them had their heads lowered, thinking about something. What happened today is not a big deal. You don't have to take it to heart. Sect leader Wen Xian said in a low voice. Everyone, quickly clean up the mountain gate, tidy up the roof tiles, repair the boundary, and rebuild the immortal-seeking sect. Go. Yes. Some of them shouted and flew to the front of the immortal-seeking sect. Xiang Yang flew over and cupped his fists at sect leader Wen Xian. Sect leader, you forgot something just now. What is it? Sect leader Wen Xian asked indifferently. The souls of the deceased disciples. Xiang Yang said, when the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion attacked, they killed their way in. Our sect's elites went to the mountain gate to resist, but unfortunately, they were annihilated. The souls of these disciples were imprisoned in the magic treasures of the heaven-knocking pavilion. Sect leader Wen Xian should have asked them to return the souls. Sect leader Wen Xian shook his head. Return it? So what if we return the souls? Xiang Yang was stunned when he heard that. The human body is the main body that stores cultivation. Even if the body is destroyed, the soul does not die. Although it is not true death, even if the body is reconstructed and the soul is used to resurrect, the person is just an ordinary person. They will no longer have their previous cultivation. In other words, even if we get the souls back, we will only get some ordinary people. What's the use of that? Moreover, what should we do if they are returned? Reconstructing the body? With so many souls, it is a tedious process that will cost a lot of money. The gains do not make up for the losses. Sect leader Wen Xian said indifferently. How cruel were those words? Hearing that, Xiang Yang came to a realization and cupped his fists again. Sect leader Wen Xian is right. I am short-sighted. This is indeed not good for the sect's development. However, souls are good materials for refining magic treasures. The immortal-seeking sect master pondered for a moment, then said indifferently, Xiang Yang, 3 days later, when you go to offer your items, you could try to ask for these souls. I'll give them all to you as a reward. You can use them if you want. Xiang Yang was overjoyed and quickly cupped his fists. Thank you, sect leader. Do well. The immortal-seeking sect will not always be bullied by others. One day, we will return what we did today to the heaven-knocking pavilion. Sect leader Wen Xian snorted and turned around, wanting to return to his cultivation place. Xiang Yang bowed again. Sect leader. Bad news, sect leader. Just then, an urgent cry suddenly came from ahead. Xiang Yang and sect leader Wen Xian looked in the direction of the sound and saw an immortal-seeking sect disciple flying over in panic. What's going on? Xiang Yang asked in a deep voice. The disciple bowed his head and cupped his fists, saying in a trembling voice, Sect leader, there are many immortals. Many immortals are killing their way in. They are outside the mountain gate. They are killing their way in. More immortals are killing their way in? Xiang Yang was stunned. Sect leader Wen Xian's expression was extremely ugly. What did the immortal-seeking sect do today? Why did people come to cause trouble again and again? Is it someone from the heaven-knocking pavilion? No. Then who is it? I don't know either. It seems that if the immortal-seeking sect doesn't show its might today, they will look down on us. Sect leader Wen Xian was overflowing with murderous intent. At this moment, he seemed to be planning to establish his might. Sect leader Wen Xian, Xiang Yang, and some of the immortal-seeking sect's elites flew forward, heading straight for the mountain gate. The disciple who had reported the news also followed behind. However, not long after the immortal-seeking sect leader flew forward, a large hand suddenly reached out from behind him. With lightning speed, it directly grabbed his neck and forcefully pressed him to the ground. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was greatly alarmed. He hurriedly turned his head, only to see that the disciple who had reported earlier was raising a pitch-black sword high up in the air, stabbing it straight at his heart. Chapter 9:26. Before the black sword could get close to the immortal-seeking sect leader, he grabbed it with one hand. The blade was only a few inches away from the immortal-seeking sect leader's chest. Who are you? The immortal-seeking sect leader growled. Xiang Yang and the rest reacted instantly. Seeing that this person dared to attack the sect leader, they were all shocked. Who is this guy? How dare he attack the sect leader single-handedly? Was he tired of living? Or was his brain damaged and he didn't know where he was? How dare you be so presumptuous in the immortal-seeking sect? Let go of the sect leader, or else I'll make you wish you were dead. Xiang Yang roared and was about to rush over. However, the next second, a shocking scene appeared. The person who was strangling the immortal-seeking sect leader suddenly spun his sword and cut open his palm. After that, he kicked the immortal-seeking sect leader, sending him flying and crashing into the clouds in the distance. The immortal-seeking sect leader coughed violently, and a trace of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. There were no dazzling magical techniques. There were no terrifying auras. There were no spectacular moves. Just like that, the immortal-seeking sect leader was injured. Who was the immortal-seeking sect leader? The supreme being of the immortal-seeking sect, the head of a half-celestial sect. Even though it was a half-celestial sect, his cultivation was definitely not to be underestimated. Even Yuan Luo did not dare to ignore his existence. Such an immortal had copper skin and iron bones, and would not be easily injured. However, this guy actually injured the head? Who was he? What cultivation? What kind of existence was he? Numerous questions arose in the hearts of everyone, causing them to tremble without end and be extremely terrified. What happened? Sect leader. A few disciples rushed over and helped the immortal-seeking sect leader up from the ground. His body trembled slightly and was already weak. When he stood up with some difficulty, he gritted his teeth and said angrily to the fake immortal-seeking sect disciple, "Despicable! You think you're worthy of calling me despicable?" The fake immortal-seeking sect disciple said indifferently, "Someone who casually sacrificed the lives of his disciples and even ignored the lives of those who contributed to the sect is worthy of calling me despicable? A guy like you who only cares about immediate benefits doesn't deserve to be the immortal-seeking sect leader." "Who are you?" Sect Master Wen Xian growled, sneaking up on me and quickly absorbing most of my immortal energy. Was this premeditated? Who are you? Who I am isn't important. What's important is you guys. That person, Su Yun, raised his head and looked at the countless immortal-seeking sect disciples that had gathered from all directions. He shouted, "Why does your immortal-seeking sect exist in the immortal world? To seek the immortal Tao? Or is it for the so-called power? Are you still trying to mislead us with your lies?" Xiang Yang looked at Su Yun coldly and waved his hand. "This person sneak-attacked sect leader. Quickly take him down. Hand him over to the disciplinary hall to deal with. Hurry." However, no one dared to make a move after he said that. They just stood there and watched from afar. Seeing this, Xiang Yang was stunned and hurriedly shouted, "Why are you still standing there like idiots? Hurry up and take him down." The disciples looked troubled. "Zhang Hao Linan, take this man down." Xiang Yang began to call the roll. However, the two elite disciples hesitated on the spot, not daring to answer Xiang Yang, nor did they dare to walk towards Su Yun. "Are the two of you going to betray your sect?" Xiang Yang was so angry that his face was flushed red. He wanted nothing more than to rush up and slap the two of them to death on the spot. But at this moment, Su Yun spoke up. "You don't have to make things difficult for them. If it was before, they might have listened to your orders without hesitation. But now, they have to think it over." Su Yun smiled faintly and said, "Those elites who volunteered to block the heaven-knocking pavilion in order to protect the immortal-seeking sect have all died tragically, and you haven't even gotten your souls back. Do you think they would still be so reckless as to fight with someone whose cultivation is unknown, but who can injure the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect?" Hearing that, Xiang Yang's expression changed a little, but his attitude became unyielding. "If you betray the sect and do not obey the sect leader's orders, you will still die. Now, I will give you one last chance. Go and take this person down. Hurry." Hearing that, the surrounding disciples of the immortal-seeking sect could not hold it in any longer, and all turned to look at Su Yun, but there was not much hostility in their eyes. There was more helplessness and fear. You don't have to listen to these useless sect leaders. Su Yun raised the corner of his mouth and said in a clear voice, "This person only cares about profit, is selfish, and only cares about what's in front of him, and does not care about the overall situation." The disciple surnamed Lu was not the one who attacked the heaven-knocking pavilion, but in order to protect himself, in order to temporarily retreat from the heaven-knocking pavilion, he sacrificed disciple surnamed Lu and handed him over to the heaven-knocking pavilion. How can such a person be worthy of being the sect leader? I'm not worthy. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect snorted. Do you think you are worthy? The current strength of the immortal-seeking sect is not enough to contend against the heaven-knocking pavilion. If we do not give them an explanation, the losses of the immortal-seeking sect will only be greater. More? What else can they lose? The heaven-knocking pavilion has already destroyed more than half of the immortal-seeking sect. What else can they do? Haven't you noticed that they have already started to stop attacking here? They will definitely not destroy the immortal-seeking sect. Once they destroy the immortal-seeking sect, they will not be able to explain themselves to the immortal court. So why are you worried? But you are so cowardly and insist on sacrificing the lives of your sect's disciples and humbly apologize to them. That Yuan Luo is just an elder of the heaven-knocking pavilion, and he already made you do this. If the sect leader of the heaven-knocking pavilion were to come here, could it be that you would join the heaven-knocking pavilion? Hearing this, the sect leader's face immediately turned ugly. So many disciples of the immortal-seeking sect have died, but you did not say a word about it, and just watched as Yuan Luo killed here. Does the immortal-seeking sect not have any backbone? As the sect leader, it is my mission to inherit and develop the sect, but this sect has lost its spirit and soul. Is there still a need for it to exist? The immortal-seeking sect today, in my opinion, only exists in name. Such a sect, what is there to protect with my life? Su Yun spoke frankly with assurance. His voice was extremely loud and spread far and wide. More and more immortal-seeking sect people gathered over. The surroundings were already filled with people from the immortal-seeking sect, but no one chose to attack Su Yun. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was already trembling with anger. Such a nameless nobody actually dared to behave atrociously in the immortal-seeking sect. How could he not be angry? Audacious madman. It's fine if you mislead the people in the immortal-seeking sect, but you still dare to humiliate my immortal-seeking sect. Today, I will let you have a taste of the power of the immortal-seeking sect. Just then, a person suddenly rushed over, directly pouncing towards him. Su Yun turned his head to look, and realized that the person who rushed over was the protector Zilong of the immortal-seeking sect. It's you? When Su Yun turned his head, Zilong also recognized Su Yun. He sneered again and bellowed, Hee, there's a path to heaven that you don't want to take, and there's no door to hell that you want to throw yourself into. Stinking brat. Back then I was careless and let you escape. This time, let's see where you can escape to. I don't plan to escape. Su Yun said indifferently, his gaze gently looking at Zilong. Furthermore, I will always be here. Arrogant. Zilong was enraged. Her purple hair was like a dancing venomous snake. Her beautiful face distorted. She rushed towards Su Yun crazily, her surging immortal power directly rushing towards him. However, when these terrifying waves of immortal power rushed over, they immediately vanished into thin air and turned into nothingness. What? Zilong was extremely shocked and immediately retreated. How could this person have such a method? He didn't use it back then. Without any immortal chi, Zilong did not dare to act rashly. She was actually just probing. Since Su Yun had come here alone, it was definitely not simple. But just then, Su Yun suddenly took out a pitch-black order badge from his waist and raised it high up. His eyes were already suffused with a terrifying red light, and his entire body started to leak devil chi. In a holy and flawless sky, this pitch-black color was extremely eye-catching. Devil chi. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect cried out involuntarily. You're a devil cultivator? That's right. Su Yun bellowed. I am the person you all want to eliminate from the true devil realm, the true devil sect's demon lord. Su Yun bellowed and poured his devil power into the demon god badge in his hand. In that instant, the demon god badge exploded like a black bomb, spewing out countless devil chi. The devil chi dyed the sky black, covered the earth with a cold chill, and dragged everyone in all directions into despair and helplessness. The people of the immortal seeking sect were stunned, all of them looking around in fear. The people of the heaven-knocking pavilion had already left, but the crisis of the immortal seeking sect had not been resolved. This sudden change caught everyone off guard. Everything in the world seemed to have fallen into a pitch-black cloud, and there was no longer any light. Everyone, move closer to me. The enemy is attacking. The sect leader regained his senses, activated his immortal power, and shouted, his voice spreading throughout the entire immortal seeking sect. The people of the immortal seeking sect frantically gathered over. Previously, when the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion had rushed in, the immortal seeking sect's barrier formation and other defensive systems had long been destroyed, and now was the moment when the immortal seeking sect was at its weakest. The people of the immortal seeking sect gathered crazily, and at this moment, cracks appeared in the pitch-black world, blood-red cracks. These cracks were like knives cutting through skin, and red liquid flowed out from the cracks. Then, the cracks grew larger and wider. Su Yun stood quietly in the sky, his expression extremely solemn. He took out the death sword, took off his cloak, and stared at the sect leader with his blood-red eyes. The killing intent in his eyes seemed to want to pierce through him. The demon god badge had been activated. Today, if he did not succeed, he would die a miserable death. This was the last of the true devil realm's power. At this moment, the entire true devil realm was going to stake everything on this one throw. Chapter 9:27. Howl! A melodious roar exploded in this pitch-black world. Roar, hiss, ka. All sorts of screams, roars, and hissing sounds rang out, followed by large and small blurry figures appearing one after another. The entire pitch-black world was like a group of demons dancing wildly, the gloomy and cold devil chi accompanied with despair. Such a terrifying scene caused the people of the immortal seeking sect who had just been attacked by the heaven-knocking pavilion to be extremely terrified. They gathered together and nervously looked around. At this moment, they realized that those blood-red cracks were actually pairs of sinister and terrifying devil beast eyes. At this moment, the entire immortal seeking sect had been occupied by countless existences from the devil realm. Whether it was in the sky or on the ground, there were figures of devil cultivator S and devil beasts filling up the entire place. The entire immortal seeking sect was instantly occupied. The devil chi crazily devoured the immortal chi emitted by these immortals. Individually speaking, every single disciple of the immortal seeking sect here was stronger than most of the small fries from the true devil realm. But the true devil realm did not only have small fries. There were also countless hidden experts and great demons. These existences were undeniably summoned by the devil god token. They were attracted by the mysterious and intimate power and followed this power to this world. It was as if they had seen the guidance of the Creator, as if they had seen the descent of the Supreme Being. All the demons started to gather towards Su Yun. They didn't know why, but they felt that there might be an existence that they longed to see over there. Su Yun knew that this was the power of the devil god token. He was something created by the creator of the true devil realm, and the power inside resonated with the demons of the true devil realm. They could not resist, so they became like this. Where is this place? A devil cultivator with a terrifying aura looked left and right, and his gaze landed on Su Yun. You have the aura that I recognize on you. Who are you? Why are we here? I smell a very strong, immortal chi. I hate this stench the most. A low voice floated out from the darkness. Su Yun had already considered this point. When he used the devil god token, many devil cultivator-s were not notified. They were forcefully summoned over, which meant that many people knew nothing about this matter. If he did not tightly gather the power of the true devil realm, then once these fellows went berserk, it would definitely cause even more serious consequences. The devil cultivator worshipped the strong, and so did all the creatures in the true devil realm. Suyin looked at the black mass of figures not far away. It was the troops of the true devil sect, the octagon aniseed, the round demon, the two demons, and the other existences were leading a large group of elites and rushing over. It was about time. He could sense the fear emanating from the people of the immortal-seeking sect, and he could also smell the bewildered auras of countless devils and devils. He leaped up and flew to the highest point. Looking down at the pairs of blood-red eyes and sinister faces, he immediately shouted in a low voice, "People of the true devil realm, there is no need to be confused anymore. The place you are in right now is the immortal world that you fear and feel uneasy about." Immortal world? As soon as he said that, the people of the devil world were in an uproar. There was a hubbub of voices, and it was chaotic and uneasy. "Who are you?" A demonic dweller shouted. "True devil, sect, demon lord. He is also your master," Su Yun said solemnly, deliberately revealing a sense of arrogance. "Lord, demon lord of the true devil realm? So it's lord." Some of the demonic dweller that belonged to the true devil sect were suddenly enlightened, but Su Yun's words made a portion of the free people unhappy. "Lord, why are you our master? Humph, are you worthy of being my master? This is actually the immortal realm. Why did you bring us here? Quickly send us back to the demon realm. Otherwise, I don't care what kind of demon lord you are. I won't be polite to you." Angry curses and clamoring could be heard from time to time, and it was especially ear-piercing here. Su Yun suddenly turned his head and stared at one of the demonic dweller who was shouting the most fiercely and cursing the most. He immediately extended his hand and activated the profound strength, causing the devil vein in his body to erupt and his power to soar. A suction force rushed out from his palm, and with lightning speed, it pulled the demonic dweller over and grabbed him. The demonic dweller's neck was tightly gripped to the point that it was about to break. He struggled with all his might and slapped Su Yun, but the current him was like a struggling fish. No matter what, he could not escape from Su Yun's palm. Many of the demonic dweller were stunned when they saw this scene. What cultivation level did the demonic dweller have? It was obvious that he was terrified, but this kind of person, in Su Yun's eyes, was like an ant. Su Yun casually pulled, and the demonic dweller's head fell off. The defense of his body was like paper, unable to resist Su Yun's power at all. The devil's soul leaked out, but Su Yun did not choose to kill it, but was devoured by the greedy, demonic dwelleress. That scene caused all the people from the immortal-seeking sect to be shocked and terrified. In the end, the demonic dweller was still the demonic dweller. Once he was tempted, he would completely lose his self-control and become a beast-like existence. "All of you stop." Just then, Su Yun suddenly released a deafening roar. The voice spread far and wide, as if it was going to split the sky. The demonic dweller all stopped and looked at Su Yun with fear in their eyes. The person standing under the sky was looking at all the demons in the surroundings with a pair of blood-red eyes. No one could imagine how terrifying those blood-red eyes were, and no one could describe the coldness and killing intent contained in those eyes. The power spread out from Su Yun's body, and those who were originally unconvinced by Su Yun could not help but tremble, not daring to make a sound, afraid that they would end up like the demonic dweller just now, with their bodies destroyed and their souls snatched away for food. Su Yun roared again in a low voice. "Now, I will give all the demonic dweller two choices. 1. Submit to my true devil sect and listen to my commands. The other, immediately die in my hands and become the food of my demonic dweller. Make your choice." His voice spread out. This was the choice that Su Yun had made. At this moment, he had to be dictatorial, because he did not have the time to explain to these demonic dweller. No demonic dweller dared to make a sound. In front of great power, anyone would have to submit. Seeing that, the sect leader of the One Xian sect instantly understood the current situation. Although the demon lord of the true devil sect had summoned so many demonic dwellers, he had not subdued them. Although there were countless demonic dwellers around, they were in a mess. What he needed to do now was to immediately launch an attack and kill the demon lord of the true devil sect. He could not let him gather the power of these demonic dwellers. If he succeeded, then today would truly be the doomsday of the immortal-seeking sect. Thinking up to here, the sect leader immediately shouted, "A group of Devil Realm thieves dare to be so impudent in the immortal realm? How laughable! I think you guys don't know the might of an immortal, right? If you dare to act like a tyrant here, this sovereign will send you all away." With that, he leaped into the air, jumped into the sky, and shouted loudly, "All members of the immortal-seeking sect, listen up. Today is the day of the immortal-seeking sect's life and death. All of you follow me to fight against the weak people of the true devil realm, expel them from the immortal realm, and return peace to my immortal-seeking sect." Ridiculous! How laughable! Ha ha! Su Yun immediately laughed out loud. His voice was extremely ear-piercing. A sect that can casually abandon the lives of its own disciples, is it still worth protecting? A sect that only knows how to bow its head, doesn't know how to forge ahead, and doesn't care about enmity. Does everyone have to fight with their lives on the line? There is no need for such a sect to exist at all. He turned his head and shouted at the people of the immortal-seeking sect whose eyes were filled with confusion and astonishment. "I am Su Yun. No one would join the demon realm for no reason and become a devil cultivator. That is because we have no choice. We have been abandoned by fate. We have no choice. We have been forced into a desperate situation. So, we can only resist fate. We are unwilling to reincarnate. We can only do what we want to do, cultivate to become an immortal, live forever, be invincible under the heavens, or just live a peaceful life. All of this is not something that you can obtain just because you want it. What you have to do is not only fight for it, but also have the kind of resistance that is unafraid of death." Today, in order to protect themselves, the immortal-seeking sect dared to sacrifice you, the diligent disciples of the sect, to the heaven-knocking pavilion. Then in the future, the immortal-seeking sect will definitely do the same thing again. In their eyes, you're not the so-called disciples. You're just a group of servants, lackeys, and chess pieces. Are you still willing to work for such a sect? Su Yun shouted at the top of his lungs. His words did not have the slightest bit of profound strength, nor the slightest bit of demonic nature. Compared to the demons, ghosts, and humans, the biggest advantage of the devil cultivator was that their blood had never turned cold and had always been boiling. The people of the immortal-seeking sect looked at each other, not knowing what to do. A small portion of the elites still gathered towards the sect leader, but most of them had already wavered. After all, the immortal-seeking sect was a half-immortal sect. Even if Su Yun had pulled a large group of devil realm existences over, he could not easily destroy the immortal-seeking sect. There was still a battle to be fought, but it would depend on how the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect chose. Seeing that his own disciples were already somewhat moved by the other party's words, the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was infuriated. He immediately roared, "Bewitching words, bewitching words! I will first kill you, the demon lord of the true devil sect, and see how you will bewitch the hearts of the people here. Kill!" With that, he rushed over. In an instant, he appeared in front of Su Yun. Although more than half of his immortal power had been absorbed, his strength had not decreased in the slightest. "Demon Lord, be careful. Don't fight him. The immortal-seeking sect leader's cultivation is extremely high, and he is a famous expert in the entire immortal world. You must not fight him head-on." Upon seeing this, Octagon Aniseed cried out anxiously. However, Su Yun did not have the slightest bit of fear. Instead, the corner of his mouth raised into a strange, sinister smile. He stood in place without moving, allowing the opponent to attack him. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect had suffered a loss from Su Yun previously, and knew that Su Yun was able to control a magic treasure that could absorb other people's chi. He was already prepared for this attack, and his body was wrapped in 11 layers of faint chi cover. If he did not absorb the chi cover, it would be impossible for him to steal away the immortal chi in his body. Does he still think that move was effective against me? How laughable! The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect thought coldly. But in the next second, an inexplicably powerful black soul suddenly emerged from Su Yun's body. Devil's soul. The soul of the devil saint. Su Yun's attack was his strongest killing move. He knew that if the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was not eliminated, this battle would not end. The soul turned into thousands of strands that covered his entire body. In that instant, his entire body underwent a tremendous change. His aura was like a rocket that soared into the sky. This is bad. The sect leader's face changed. Before he could react, a hand fiercely smashed towards him. He hurriedly waved his fist to meet the attack. Both fists clashed. A scene that shocked everyone's eyes appeared. The sect leader's fist was like a piece of paper. Kacha, it was directly shattered by the opponent's fist. Chapter 928. This is impossible. Octagon Aniseed cried out involuntarily. He knew that Su Yun's cultivation was strong, but he never would have thought that Su Yun's cultivation was strong to such an extent, to be able to break this sect master's technique with just a raise of his hand. If he had such a method, why would Octagon Aniseed let Su Yun be so sneaky? He could just charge and head on. Furthermore, with such a method, there was no need for him to take the risk of entering the immortal world. It was more than enough to guard the true devil realm. But then again, sect leader Wen Xian's methods should not be limited to just this. Sure enough, when Su Yun shattered his fist, he was shocked, but he did not forget to activate his technique to recover. In the blink of an eye, his broken fist recovered to its original state, as though he was not injured at all. Who the hell are you? Sect leader Wen Xian retreated a few steps, his face gloomy as he roared. Didn't I say it? True devil, sect, demon lord. Impossible. What kind of third-rate sect was the true devil sect? How could it produce such an expert? Impossible. Sect leader Wen Xian's face twisted. Third-rate sect? Su Yun's eyes flashed with a red light. He raised the death sword and rushed forward. Then I'll let you see what a third-rate sect can do today. He took the lead and rushed forward. The pitch-black death sword flickered with a terrifying and ominous light, appearing especially dazzling in the dusky world. Sect leader Wen Xian immediately activated a bronze mirror to block. The death sword struck the round mirror and produced a clang sound. The round mirror trembled violently, and sect leader Wen Xian was sent flying. This scene shocked the world. How could this be? What exactly is this fellow's cultivation level now? Octagon Aniseed was even more astonished. Yuan Demon, Second Demon, and the other devil sect elders were no longer looking at Su Yun with respect in their eyes, but with fanatical worship. The immortal-seeking sect was a half-immortal sect, and the sect leader was an unparalleled expert. However, in front of Su Yun, he was actually beaten to the point that he could not retaliate at all. The devil cultivator worshipped the strong, and the strength that Su Yun had displayed had completely convinced all the devil cultivator-s here. Some of the devil cultivator-s who were originally dissatisfied with Su Yun using the devil god badge to gather them here. But at that moment, they were overwhelmed by the powerful strength that Su Yun had displayed and were willing to fight for the true devil realm. The higher-ups of the immortal-seeking sect were even more so. How could they have thought that Su Yun would actually be able to contend against the sect leader? Too arrogant. Zilong killed the devil cultivator in front of him and rushed toward Su Yun, roaring, "Little rascal of the devil realm. This is the immortal realm. How can you behave so atrociously? Eat my violet origin true energy." The purple chi was like lightning, quickly rushing toward Su Yun. However, when these auras approached Su Yun, they disappeared into thin air. Su Yun raised the death sword and waved it at Zilong. The death sword released a burst of sword chi and flew towards Zilong. Zilong immediately activated his barrier to block, but the sword chi directly pierced through the man's shield. Zilong was dead. Instant kill. Invincible. The eyes of the world were about to crack. He was completely invincible. What cultivation level was Zilong at? As the protector of the immortal-seeking sect, she should at least be in existence above the fifth stage of the spirit profound immortal realm, right? However, he was not even able to touch Su Yun in the slightest and was immediately killed. Could the other party be Spirit God? Many people already had such a terrifying thought in their minds. Spirit God was a peerless expert that would only appear in the super sex of the immortal world. He was a true god. How could he appear in the immortal seeking sect? In fact, many people had guessed correctly. Su Yun's current cultivation was indeed the spirit god realm. The use of the devil soul was to temporarily raise Su Yun's strength to the limit of a spirit cultivator. And this was the limit of a god. The sect leader of the immortal seeking sect was not an idiot. He could see Su Yun's strength and knew that even if he defeated Su Yun, he would not be able to deal with the countless devil realm creatures around him. Immediately, he turned around and was about to leave. But before he could move, Octagon Aniseed and the others had already blocked his path. "Yo, sect leader Wen Xian, where are you going?" Octagon Aniseed said with a smile. "I know you are Octagon Aniseed, the vice sect leader of the true devil sect." The sect leader of the immortal seeking sect said, "Huh, I never thought that someone would know my name. I'm so happy. I have face. Huh." Octagon Aniseed laughed. "I never thought that such a strong expert would appear in the true devil sect. This is truly my miscalculation. It seems like it is reasonable for the supreme sect to be destroyed, and it is not because they are incompetent." The sect leader stared at Su Yun and the rest and said softly, "What are you guys trying to do by sending so many devil cultivators here today? Destroy my immortal seeking sect? Do you think we can do it? I don't know if I can do it, but I do know that if you destroy my immortal seeking sect, the next one to be destroyed will definitely be the true devil realm." He laughed lightly. "The people of the true devil realm have already attacked the immortal realm. How can the people of the immortal court sit back and do nothing? Once this matter gets out, the immortal realm will definitely come out in full force, and the true devil realm will be in danger. At that time, any small sect will be able to eradicate the true devil realm." "That's right, but extermination and immortality are actually the same," Su Yun said indifferently, then flew towards the sect leader, his eyes revealing a cold look. "But you must erase it. Can you kill me?" Sect leader When Immortal growled and turned to attack Su Yun again. The scene was already so chaotic. The immortal seeking sect was completely surrounded by the devil realm creatures at this time. If they did not resist, only death awaited them. "Everyone, follow me to attack these devil realm creatures and expel them," Xiang Yang shouted. The higher-ups of the immortal seeking sect all responded and began to attack the surrounding devil realm creatures. Many of the devil cultivators were not very strong, and a single spell would be able to kill dozens of them. However, there were also experts that were provoked. The powerful devil cultivator could actually easily contend against the disciples of the immortal seeking sect. Of course, it was not enough to exchange blows with the elders. However, with the issuance of the demon god token today, everyone discovered quite a few shocking experts from the true devil realm. The devil cultivator's attack was extremely chaotic, and the people from the devil realm who rushed over did not understand what Su Yun meant. However, Octagon Aniseed was already prepared, and with a shout, he replaced Su Yun in command. "My fellow citizens of the true devil realm, do you still remember how my true devil realm was born? That's right. The birth of my true devil realm is not unrelated to these despicable immortals. Back then, our father, our Lord, our Creator, was also a powerful immortal, but he could not stand the despicable immortals, could not stand their hypocrisy, left the immortal world alone, and created the true devil realm. But these immortals viewed him as a traitor and killed him without any hesitation. What did our true devil realm do to them? What did we do wrong? We didn't do anything wrong. We just want to make the thoughts in our hearts come true. However, these hypocritical people imposed their rules on us. We resisted, but what awaited us was destruction. Are you willing to accept this? Come with me. We will tear apart this hypocritical world, kill all these despicable so-called immortals, and let them know that there is still an existence in this world that can contend against them. and that is the devil. Octagon Aniseed shouted at the top of his lungs. His voice was filled with profound chi, making it seem especially grand and imposing. The devil cultivator and the other demons heard this and felt their blood boil, howling and howling. Kill! He pointed at the people from the immortal-seeking sect and shouted at the top of his lungs. Kill! The devil cultivator and the demons were like a torrential tide as they crazily charged towards the people of the immortal-seeking sect. The devil cultivator on the outside were also infected and continued to squeeze towards the center. The scene was magnificent, but also extremely chaotic. The devil cultivator-s of the true devil realm were like beans that had fallen to the ground. They died with a whoosh, and from time to time, immortals from the immortal-seeking sect would also fall. This is the second war between the immortals and devils in the past 10,000 years. Although the scale of the war is much smaller than back then, this is also proof that the true devil realm has once again stood up to resist the immortal world. We are not weak. Octagon Aniseed stared at the surrounding scene and muttered, his gaze once again returning to Su Yun. At this moment, the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect had been forced into a corner by Su Yun. Not only had Su Yun's cultivation reached the pinnacle, no one could stop his divine objects. Divine Wind Sword Art! Su Yun bellowed, and his body instantly disappeared. The sect leader's face froze as he anxiously looked around. At this moment, the Divine Wind Sword technique that Su Yun was using was no longer the same as when he was learning in the Feng clan. The current sword technique was used by a spirit god at the peak of the spirit cultivator. Its intent, realm, and spirit were all at the peak. And this kind of sword technique had already been unleashed to the extreme by him. The meaning of the extreme was practically equivalent to disappearing. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect could no longer lock on his Su Yun's existence. He could only feel that his surroundings were filled with killing intent. Don't get carried away, you damned devil cultivator. Finally, the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect, who was completely surrounded by an unknown terror, was completely enraged. He snorted and activated some unknown magic treasure, but with him, as the center, a strong seven-colored light rose up. After the light appeared, it circled around him in the form of a whirlpool. So, within the light, there seemed to be tens of thousands of sword images flashing. They were abnormally sharp and terrifying. This was the death sword. However, although the sword image was fast, it was unable to break through the strange defense of the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect. The tip of the sword was completely blocked by the rainbow-colored light. And not only that, even the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe was unable to eliminate the light. I'll let you experience the might of an immortal. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect shouted loudly as he raised both of his hands into the air. The pitch-black sky suddenly became bloody, and a wave of awe-inspiring righteous chi spiraled in the air. And within this awe-inspiring chi, there was a large amount of snow-white lightning. The lightning rippled through the clouds for a bit before descending, fiercely striking towards the area. Seeing that, Su Yun's face changed. Octagon Aniseed, all of you quickly retreat. He roared anxiously as he rushed towards the descending lightning bolts. He could ignore the lightning, but Octagon Aniseed and the others could not. This attack from the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was simply to besiege Wei to save Zhao, using the lives of Octagon Aniseed and the others to force Su Yun to eat this move. Just as Su Yun was rushing towards the snow-white lightning, the corner of the sect leader's mouth raised into a sinister smile. He rushed forward and attacked from behind, a fist wrapped tightly in immortal chi fiercely smashing towards Su Yun. When the fist approached Su Yun's back, the tip of the fist once again overflowed with rainbow-colored light. Chapter 9:29. ZZZZZ. The snow-white lightning fiercely struck Su Yun's body, directly smashing the black cloak on his body into pieces. However, he was unlucky enough to suffer some injuries, but before he could block all of the lightning, a chill suddenly came from behind him. Dawn! A dull sound rang out in the sky. Su Yun's body trembled violently. The light on the tip of the immortal-seeking sect leader's fist was like a wriggling thread, instantly wrapping around him tightly. Su Yun's entire body seemed to have lost all strength and directly fell from the sky. Ah! What true devil sect's demon lord? He's only a so-so. Ah! Sect leader Wen Xian laughed out loud, his eyes filled with pride. Puff! Su Yun fell onto the ground that was already dyed red with blood. However, he did not fall to the ground. Instead, he stood up and stared at the immortal-seeking sect leader. This attack did not cause much damage to him. His current cultivation had far surpassed the immortal-seeking sect leader, and he had also absorbed a lot of immortal chi from the sect leader to strengthen himself. If sect leader Wen Xian wanted to injure him, it would be extremely difficult if he did not use some of his special abilities. Seeing that Su Yun was not injured in the slightest, sect leader Wen Xian's smile froze. In this battle, Su Yun did not plan to fight with all his strength. He had already used all of his moves and planned to end the battle quickly. Seeing that Su Yun had stood up again, he heaved a sigh of relief. But he already knew that these people would only become a burden to Su Yun if they stayed here. So he immediately shouted, "Everyone, follow me to the main hall and stop the reinforcements of the immortal-seeking sect. Don't let them come over. Let's go." "Yes, sir." The elites of the true devil sect all followed Octagon Aniseed and rushed forward. A pitch-black torrent rippled through the dark world. Su Yun stepped forward and rushed straight towards sect leader Wen Xian. He raised his death sword and waved it fiercely. The pitch-black sword blade released a gust of sword chi that was like a violent gale, rushing towards sect leader Wen Xian with all his might. He swayed his body and quickly blocked it, but the wind was so strong that it left people speechless. This bastard, just what cultivation does he have? When did such a supreme expert appear in the true devil realm? Sect leader Wen Xian's face was extremely ugly. He did not dare to fight Su Yun head-on and retreated as he fought. With a flip of his palm, a gigantic mountain appeared out of nowhere and smashed toward Su Yun. The death sword slashed down vertically, shattering the mountain. Rocks flew everywhere like meteorites, smashing into the surrounding demonic dwellers and immortal-seeking sect disciples, resulting in countless casualties. Immortal Phoenix destroys the world. Sect leader When Immortal clenched his teeth and bellowed. A snow-white phoenix rushed out from his fingertip and struck Su Yun. "Devil Eagle," Su Yun shouted. The devil bone spirit eagle flew out and collided with the immortal phoenix, directly dispersing it. This guy's cultivation was already so powerful, and any of the magic treasures on his body that could rival it had been upgraded to a terrifying level. Seeing that he could not do anything to Su Yun, the sect leader did not waste any more energy and immediately turned to run. Without Octagon Aniseed, no one could stop him. However, just as he turned around, a black bolt of lightning suddenly descended from the sky and struck in front of him. Following that, a huge iron palm suddenly slammed towards his body. Dong! Sect leader Wen Xian's entire body flew out and fell to the ground. The power of the iron palm was extremely great, and he was also dazed from the slap. He crawled up and looked in front of him. In the pitch-black twilight, he saw a giant that could support the sky standing in front of him. The giant was incomparably large, like a pillar that supported the heavens. A pair of blood-red eyes that were like the sun and moon stared straight at him. Although the giant was terrifying, what caused sect leader Wen Xian's expression to change was the aura on its body. This aura, it was the aura of Changgu and Enmo. Changgu Enmo. Has the devil god descended? Could you be Changgu Enmo? Sect leader Wen Xian's entire body suddenly trembled violently, as if he had seen something extremely terrifying. His entire being was scared out of his wits. The leader of a sect was actually scared out of his wits by the names of Changgu and Enmo. Just how terrifying were these two great devils? Su Yun ignored the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect and rushed forward. The sword sheath behind him shot out countless sharp swords, transforming into a sword prison that tightly trapped him inside. He himself charged in and slashed at the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect wanted to parry, but the edge of the death sword was beyond his imagination. It directly broke through his defense, cut open his immortal chi, and chopped off his arm. The pros and cons were immediately clear. Desireless world. In the midst of danger, the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect finally took out his life-saving magic treasure. A white light shot out from his forehead and swallowed Su Yun and him at an astonishing speed. The white light was extremely dazzling. Su Yun could not help but close his eyes. When the white light disappeared, he realized that the two of them were in a snow-white world. He looked around and realized that there was nothing around him. There was no sky, no earth, no clouds. Only the sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect. The two of them stood opposite each other. What made Su Yun astonished was that the arm of the sect leader that had just been chopped off had recovered. This time, I will make you wish you were dead. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect roared and directly rushed towards Su Yun. His entire body released rays of snow-white light, and after taking 3 steps forward, his entire body was wrapped tightly in snow-white armor, and in his hands, 2 light-colored long swords appeared. His aura increased at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, he was already at the peak of the Spirit Profound Immortal stage, and was about to step into the Spirit Profound God stage. What? Su Yun frowned. He raised the death sword and blocked it. Clang! The 2 snow-white swords smashed onto the sword body of the death sword. The surging power was like a wave that struck Su Yun's body. He could not help but retreat a few steps. It was actually difficult for him to resist the power. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect took advantage of the situation to pursue. The 2 snow-white swords were like dancing white dragons, wantonly coiling around Su Yun's body. Not only was the sword fast to the extreme, it was also extremely crafty. After exchanging a few moves, Su Yun was already unable to withstand it, and was forced to retreat. How is it? Brat, do you know how powerful this sovereign is? In this absolute domain, my cultivation will soar crazily, and as time passes, my strength will become stronger and stronger. Sooner or later, you will die in my hands. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect's face was sinister, and he attacked again. But Su Yun did not reveal any signs of panic, but said with a calm face, I have heard of this absolute domain before, forcefully dragging the enemy inside, and engaging in a one-on-one duel. But this is not a fair duel, because the strength of the Lord of the domain will increase rapidly. But the domain has a time limit. When your cultivation increases greatly, it means that the domain is about to end. If I avoid fighting you, I believe that in less than an incense stick of time, this domain will disappear, and at that time, you will lose. Hearing that, the sect leader's face changed. You can hold on for an incense stick of time? Su Yun shook his head. Then obediently surrender. I can't hold on for more than an incense stick of time, but I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. I still have a lot of things to do. To me, an incense stick of time is too long. With that, Su Yun's eyes flashed with a red light. He raised his left hand and pointed at the sect leader. Whoosh! A spirit ripple spread out. Spirit technique? The sect leader was shocked. He immediately defended. But Su Yun's move was too sudden. He did not even have the time to defend, and was dragged into Su Yun's illusion realm. Sect leader Immortal Seeking had dragged him into the domain, but he had dragged sect leader Immortal Seeking into an illusion. The Immortal Seeking sect master froze on the spot, like a statue. His expression was also extremely lifeless. Su Yun leapt forward and appeared in front of the sect leader in a flash, and slashed at his head. The death sword's edge flickered with a mournful sword aura. With one slash, the sect leader's head was instantly separated from his body, fresh blood spurting out. Kacha, the illusion technique domain was broken. The absolute domain was also broken. The white light that enveloped the two also disappeared, and they returned to the chaotic and cruel battlefield of the Immortal Seeking sect. The Immortal Seeking sect leader broke free from the layers of illusions and fell to the ground. His head wasn't really chopped off. If his master died in the absolute domain, it would only forcefully close the absolute domain. It wasn't life-threatening, but forcefully breaking the absolute domain would only cause his master to expend a lot of energy. At this moment, the immortal-seeking sect leader didn't have much immortal chi left in his body. In fact, with his peak condition, it was completely possible for him to fight with Su Yun. But Su Yun was a despicable fellow. Not only did he sneak attack him, he also secretly absorbed more than half of his immortal power, and even used the Devil Saint's soul to raise his cultivation, using absolute power to crush him. That was why the sect leader of the One Xian sect lost so miserably, without any room to retaliate. Although Su Yun hated being despicable, he did not reject himself being despicable. In his opinion, at times, being despicable was actually the epitome of being noble. Su Yun walked towards sect leader Wen Xian. The killing intent on the death sword had already enveloped him tightly. Are you Changgu Inemo? Immortal-seeking sect master clutched his broken arm and growled in a low voice. The strength of this demonic person in front of him was beyond his imagination. No, but I am their successor. Successor? Sect leader Wen Xian was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud. Successor? Successor? Ha ha! I never thought that Changgu Inemo would have a successor. Ha ha! If the great demon doesn't die, the immortal world will definitely be in chaos. Chaos in the immortal world? Su Yun's face suddenly turned cold and snorted. If you did not plot against the true devil realm, how could today's events have happened? We have never thought of causing chaos in the immortal world, nor do we want to obtain this place. We are just trying to survive. If we do not kill our way into your immortal-seeking sect today, your immortal-seeking sect will definitely kill their way into the true devil realm in the future. When the sect leader heard this, he was stunned. However, in the next second, the death sword had already slashed towards his head, completely destroying him. When the soul overflowed, Su Yun did not hold back and directly swallowed it. He had consumed the Dragon Abyss Pearl before, so he could completely digest the soul of an immortal. The sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was powerful. With the help of this soul, his cultivation would definitely soar by 1,000 miles. The soul entered his stomach, signifying the complete fall of the immortal-seeking sect. Chapter 9:30. The immortal-seeking sect leader is dead. The immortal-seeking sect leader is dead. A series of hoarse cries resounded in the immortal-seeking sect. An elder of the true devil sect carried the head of the immortal-seeking sect leader and danced around, shaking the bloody head. When the people from the immortal-seeking sect saw this, they were all dumbfounded. Lord Demon Lord has ordered that the immortal-seeking sect leader is dead. Everyone, surrender immediately. Those who can be spared will be killed immediately, and those who are stubborn will be killed without mercy. Lord Devil Monarch has ordered that the immortal-seeking sect leader is dead. Everyone is to surrender immediately. Those who don't die will be spared. Those who are stubborn will be killed without mercy. Lord Devil Monarch has ordered that the immortal-seeking sect leader is dead. Everyone is to surrender immediately. Those who don't die will be spared. Those who are stubborn will be killed without mercy. The roars rang out again. At this moment, almost all of the true devil sects were shouting, their voices spreading throughout the entire immortal-seeking sect. With the sect leader beheaded, if the rest of the people continued to fight, other than death, there would be no other outcome. After all, even a supreme expert like the sect leader could not defeat the demon lord. What else could they do? Damn it, they killed the sect leader. Avenge the sect leader. Some of the loyal members of the immortal-seeking sect were enraged. They shouted with all their might and rushed towards the surrounding devil cultivators. Exterminate them immediately. Octagon Aniseed shouted at the demon blood guards beside him. Yes, sir. The demon blood guards rushed out in unison, slashing towards the loyal disciples. The loyal ones were still resisting tenaciously, but they were unable to withstand the number of devil cultivators and were quickly drowned out. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed immediately rushed into the sky and shouted, The demon lord has ordered, those who surrender will not be killed, nor will their cultivation be crippled. Everyone can rest assured what kind of sect the immortal-seeking sect is. I think everyone should know better than me. I do not know what kind of favor this sect has given you, nor do I know what is so good about this sect, but let me tell you, if it is not good to you, then give up. Losing your life for this sect is not worth it. You only have one life. You've cultivated so hard until now. Are you going to sell your lives for a sect that has already been destroyed? Although we are demons, we are not cold-blooded and heartless, nor are we cruel and heartless. As long as you are willing to surrender, I, Octagon Aniseed, can guarantee that you don't even need to go to the true devil realm. You can stay here. Octagon Aniseed shouted with all his might and happily. He repeated it over and over again, continuously brainwashing the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect who did not want to fight. He made full use of the previous encounter of the disciple, surnamed Lu, using this as a breakthrough point, desperately tearing the little knot in people's hearts that had emerged about the immortal-seeking sect, completely pulling it out of a big hole that could not be healed. Very quickly, Octagon Aniseed's instigation had an effect. The few spirit cultivators who were with disciple Lu earlier spoke first. "Don't kill us, we surrender." They threw away the weapons in their hands and shouted, "Li Hao, you traitor, are you going to betray the sect?" Someone at the side immediately scolded. "Betrayal? This should count, but so what if it was betrayal? I'm just a small fry, no one knows who I am, and no one knows what I've done. Even if I choose to live and die with the sect, no one will remember me. If that is the case, why would I choose to sacrifice myself? Although this is an ignoble existence, I do not care. I just want to live well, and there is nothing in the immortal-seeking sect that is worth my sacrifice." The man called Li Hao said indifferently. As these words fell, the surrounding people fell into deep thought. The person who was scolding was also speechless. That's right. With so many immortal-seeking sect disciples, even if they were to fight to the death with the true devil sect, what could they do? Not to mention that they could not change the situation. Just the people who had sacrificed themselves, who would remember them, who would know that they would fight to the last moment for the immortal-seeking sect. Not to mention, was the immortal-seeking sect worth sacrificing? What had happened to disciple Lu had already caused many people's hearts to turn cold. These thoughts caused many disciples of the immortal-seeking sect to fall into a state of confusion. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed immediately followed up with another attack. He raised his hand and shouted, "All devil cultivator-s retreat. Stop slaughtering the people of the immortal-seeking sect." When the people of the true devil sect heard this, they immediately retreated. Seeing that, the devil cultivator-s did not dare to be impudent. After all, Octagon Aniseed was someone who could shake 3 times with a stomp of his feet in the true devil realm. Very quickly, the devil cultivator-s and the people of the immortal-seeking sect were split into 2 groups. The devil cultivator-s and the people of the immortal-seeking sect were surrounded by a dense mass of black bodies and blood-red eyes. There were already countless of them, and even using 1,000,000 to count them would be considered a small number. After all, the people summoned by the demon god token were people from the entire realm, and this was only what they could see. There were only a few tens of thousands of immortal-seeking sect disciples inside, and they were all leaning against each other, nervously looking at the devil cultivator-s around them. Octagon Aniseed took a deep breath and looked towards Su Yun, who was flying over. Su Yun used the imperial battle robe to transform into a black cloak, preventing himself from looking so miserable. He kept the death sword and flew towards the people of the immortal-seeking sect. It's the demon lord of the true devil sect. Everyone be careful. The people of the immortal-seeking sect cried out nervously. At this moment, they already knew that the sect leader had been killed by this person. With regard to this person's strength, everyone could only describe it as terrifying. As he approached, the atmosphere at the scene became solemn. No one dared to breathe loudly. Su Yun felt that it was strange. Since when could he make the so-called immortals so nervous? He slowly flew in front of the crowd and looked at the people from the immortal-seeking sect. There were men and women, old and young, and their cultivations were high and low. This was the last of the immortal seeking sect's strength. He swept his gaze around, retracted his gaze, took a light breath, and said indifferently, "Are you all afraid? What's there to be afraid of? At most, we'll just die. If you have the guts, then kill us. You want us to surrender? No way." A few tough bones started to shout, but their trembling voices made them seem to lack confidence. "Can you tell me why you insist on protecting the immortal seeking sect and would rather die than surrender?" Suyin asked again. Many people fell into deep thought. "Let me first ask you, ordinary disciples, what did the immortal seeking sect give you? Spiritual satisfaction or material satisfaction? What do they give you in material terms? Powerful magic treasures? Rare medicinal pills? Sky-high prices of materials? I don't think you can get them, right? Perhaps, at most, it's an ordinary training ground and a not-so-professional training master, right?" When the ordinary disciples of the immortal seeking sect heard this, they fell silent. But someone retorted, "All the outer sect disciples of any sect are like this. There's nothing strange about it. But outer sect disciples are also people, and they also need to be respected. You entered the immortal seeking sect only to pursue the immortal Tao. That is your original intention, not to work for the immortal seeking sect. Is that so?" Everyone fell silent again, and no one refuted. "I can promise you, if you surrender, I will evenly distribute the resources of the immortal seeking sect to you, so that you will have a better training ground, a more complete magic treasure to use, and countless medicinal pills. Are you willing?" Suyin said indifferently. As the sound of his voice faded, the eyes of the ordinary disciples almost widened. All of them stared blankly at Suyin, their breathing hurried and their faces flushed red. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed immediately flew over and shouted, "Lord Demon Lord, this isn't too good, right? Sigh, there's nothing good about it. If these people surrender to my true devil realm, they will be my brothers. Giving my brothers benefits is the purpose of our true devil realm." Suyin purposely raised his voice. The people from the immortal seeking sect hesitated. "There's only one chance. Please consider it carefully. If you do not give me an answer, I can only assume that you are unwilling to surrender." Suyin focused his eyes and said indifferently, "I surrender." Finally, someone could not take it anymore and shouted loudly. However, just as he shouted, another person raised his hand and fiercely slapped his back, intending to shake him to death. That person was caught off guard and was blasted out. He fell to the ground and spat out a large amount of blood. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed's face changed. He pointed at the person who attacked and shouted, "Drag him out!" Whiz. That person was captured by the two blood demon guards. Kill. There was almost no hesitation in Octagon Aniseed. The blood demon guard immediately beheaded the man and devoured his soul. "Quickly bring that injured brother down to heal him. Use the best pills and the best magic treasure. We must not let his cultivation regress. Quick!" Octagon Aniseed said again with an anxious expression. Seeing that, Suyin, who was at the side, secretly rolled his eyes at him. This time, Octagon Aniseed was very immersed in his role. This swift and fierce action was able to win the favor of some people. As a result, the people of the immortal seeking sect saw the injured traitor enjoying the best treatment as he was carried down by the people of the true devil sect. If Suyin wanted to kill these people, it could be said that it was as easy as flipping his hand, but he chose not to kill them. Instead, he advised them to surrender. With someone taking the lead, there would be others who would follow. Under Suyun's carrot and stick tactics, more and more people surrendered. "I surrender. I surrender to, and me. Please don't kill me, Lord Demon Lord." Shouts began to emerge from the group of disciples of the immortal seeking sect. The majority of the people from the immortal seeking sect had already been captured by Suyin, and all chose to surrender. Only a small portion of the loyal followers were disturbed by the crumbling hearts of the people, and did not know if they should continue to persevere. In the end, there were only a few thousand people left. Suyin knew that if he did not handle the last few thousand people well, the situation would be very bad. Although they chose not to surrender, they could not just kill them right now. Otherwise, they would chill the hearts of the soldiers who surrendered. "Why didn't you surrender?" Suyin took a deep breath and said indifferently, "You want me to lower my head to the devil cultivator? Don't even think about it." A short-haired warrior shouted angrily. Chapter 9:31. Immortals were usually arrogant, especially devil cultivator-esque. Immortals looked down on devils the most, and in their eyes, devil cultivator-esque were despicable, sinister, cruel, and heartless. Furthermore, they were created by the traders of the immortal world, and in their eyes, even demons, ghosts, and evil spirits were much stronger than devils. Not everyone in the immortal-seeking sect was afraid of death, and not everyone hated the immortal-seeking sect. This sect had bestowed many favors upon them, and these people had truly been touched by the immortal-seeking sect. If this group of fellows had stood out earlier, Su Yun could have gotten rid of them without hesitation, but now he could not, because the ones who surrendered were all watching. Previously, in the chaos, no one could say anything about killing anyone. After all, people did not kill the enemy killed the enemy. However, now that both sides had stopped fighting, Su Yun suddenly exterminating these people who were unwilling to surrender would more or less cause these people to feel that something was wrong. He wanted to try to persuade them, and if he could get them to surrender, that would naturally be the best. But if they still insisted, then Su Yun could only choose to kill them. He could not let any of the people from the immortal-seeking sect leave the immortal-seeking sect. If not, it would cause a calamity to befall the true devil realm. Now that the immortal-seeking sect had fallen, the true devil realm had already embarked on a path of no return. This path was extremely likely to bury the entire true devil realm. But now that things had come to this, there was no turning back. Are you really willing to give up all these years of painstaking cultivation, all these years of good fortune, all these opportunities, just to protect this immortal-seeking sect that has long since perished in name? Su Yun's eyes glowed with a dark red light as he asked, "In a person's life, there is fame and fortune, and we only want to have a clear conscience. The immortal-seeking sect might not be the best sect, but in our hearts is the most perfect. It will not fall, and if it does, we are willing to live and die with it." The warrior shouted loudly, "We will live and die with the sect." Angry roars resounded throughout the world. The thousands of disciples who were unwilling to surrender were all excited and impassioned. Su Yun frowned. He secretly glanced at the disciples who had surrendered and realized that most of them had their heads lowered in shame, not daring to look at them. This was not good. Su Yun thought, these people must be quickly dealt with. If not, the situation will be terrible. He rolled his eyes, then nodded and shouted, "Good. You are indeed courageous people. I never thought that there would be people like you who are not afraid of death in the immortal-seeking sect. I, Su Yun, have really opened my eyes today. Do you think we're the same as them?" The muscular man snorted. His eyes were filled with arrogance, and the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. However, in the next second, Su Yun shouted, "However, although you all have guts, you are all a bunch of brainless idiots. With you bunch of idiots in the immortal-seeking sect, it will be difficult for you to not be destroyed." The disciples of the immortal-seeking sect were stunned. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Do you still not understand?" Su Yun snorted again and said coldly, "Those who truly want the good of the sect will definitely not be like you guys who will be buried with the sect. They are more willing to temporarily surrender to me and wait for the future to revive the sect and bring glory to the sect. If they were to fight to the death like this and lose their lives, then who would revive the sect? Other than adding a few more bloodstains to my sword, what else is there to do? That's why I said, you're just a group of gutless but brainless, brave, but not astute people." He didn't say much, but his reasoning was simple and straightforward. When these disciples heard this, they were all stunned, and all of them looked at their fellow sect members with wide eyes. Su Yun's words had given face to the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect who had surrendered, but as for whether or not they were sincere in surrendering, Su Yun was not interested in pursuing it. What he needed to do now was to control these people from the immortal-seeking sect. He had to control them, and if he could not kill them, it would be best not to kill them, or else it would be troublesome. Finally, these thousands of people could not take it anymore. After hearing Su Yun's words, they completely gave up. One by one, they lowered their heads dejectedly and nodded their heads in surrender. This chaos was finally over. With the last batch of disciples giving up, the immortal-seeking sect had finally fallen. Most of the higher-ups of the immortal-seeking sect had died in battle, and only the people who were facing the sun had surrendered to Su Yun. The immortal-seeking sect was a famous half-immortal sect in the immortal world. Although it was a half-immortal sect, the size of the sect was still quite large. If it was given a little more time, it would not be difficult for it to become a cultivation sect. However, the immortal-seeking sect had already fallen into enemy hands. Of course, before the news of the fall had spread, when Su Yun used the demon god badge, he had told Chi Go that what the true devil sect wanted to do was not to attack and kill the immortal-seeking sect, but to seal the immortal-seeking sect. He used the devil's soul to directly behead the sect master and intimidate the disciples of the sect. Because of the heaven-knocking pavilion, the morale of the immortal-seeking sect had long been low. How could they adapt to the current demon-subduing soldiers? However, once the immortal-seeking sect was truly destroyed, it would definitely attract the attention of the various powers in the immortal world, especially the so-called immortal court. They would definitely investigate this matter, and once they found out that the immortal-seeking sect was destroyed by the true devil realm, then the true devil realm would no longer exist. Su Yun had once considered killing the entire immortal-seeking sect without leaving any traces, but he did not know how miraculous the immortal methods were. In order to seek stability, he could only choose to leave a portion of the immortal-seeking sect's people behind, allowing them to continue staying in the immortal-seeking sect to confuse outsiders. Of course, it was not difficult to control these immortal-seeking sect people. Su Yun had once obtained a pill formula from the mystical box in the ancient tomb of the devil sect, called the heart-refining pill. Refining the heart-refining pill required the blood essence of the controller, so Su Yun allowed Chi Go to add his blood essence into the pill formula. After refining a large number of heart-refining pills, he allowed the disciples of the immortal-seeking sect to consume them. Once they consumed the pill, they would be able to control their minds, and if there was any rebellion, Chi Go could wipe them out in an instant. Although Chi Go's cultivation was not as strong as these disciples, with the heart-refining pill in hand, he was able to stand above everyone else. The true devil sect had rushed to produce a large number of heart-refining pills overnight, and had also consumed a lot of Chi Go's blood essence. After letting the people of the immortal-seeking sect consume them, Chi Go ordered people to install a large number of monitoring treasures inside and outside the immortal-seeking sect, and also sent a large number of powerful devil cultivators to disguise themselves as disciples of the immortal-seeking sect to guard the perimeter of the immortal-seeking sect, completely sealing it off and forbidding the people of the immortal-seeking sect from entering or leaving. If there were any other immortals visiting, Su Yun would let Xiang Yang go and thank them, and the reason would be the matter of the heaven-knocking pavilion. It was impossible for paper to wrap around a fire. The current disguise of the immortal-seeking sect was just to buy time for Su Yun, Chi, and the others. The destruction of the immortal-seeking sect and the death of the sect leader would be discovered sooner or later, but not now. Su Yun distributed a portion of the resources within the immortal-seeking sect to the original disciples of the immortal-seeking sect, calming their hearts, and then transported the rest of the things back to the true devil realm, allowing Chi to arrange it. With the resources of the immortal-seeking sect, the true devil realm's development speed would definitely be extremely fast. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he would be able to rival a half-immortal sect like the immortal-seeking sect. However, this was far from enough. If he wanted to fight against the immortal world and seek self-protection, he would need the strength of an immortal sect. A few months later, Su Yun sat on a chair in the main hall of the immortal-seeking sect, his gaze sweeping across the restless Xiang Yang, thinking about what to do next. Vice Sect Leader Xiang Yang, what does the immortal-seeking sect do every day? Su Yun could not help but ask. In fact, he knew nothing about developing a sect. What does the Demon Lord mean? Xiang Yang's face was slightly pale as he said carefully, "Develop the sect. This covers a very wide range of areas." Xiang Yang was a little embarrassed. What does the sect leader do every day? Cultivate. Who is in charge of all the matters in the sect? That's me. Then what do you do every day? Xiang Yang thought for a while, then said, send disciples to various places to collect immortal stones, inspect the cultivation of the disciples of various sects, and examine the various information sent up, such as the development of enchantments, the development of medicinal pills, the quantity and variety of materials submitted. You can still do these things now. There are many things that cannot be done by the immortal-seeking sect alone. We must send disciples to various parts of the immortal world, or some of the immortal cities, or some of the blessed lands that contain immortal-grade immortal jades. No one from the immortal-seeking sect is allowed to leave the immortal-seeking sect. You can send the people from the true devil sect. Xiang Yang has no objections, but it's just that the devil cultivator's aura is too heavy and will be discovered by the immortals, right? Su Yun shook his head. You don't have to worry about that. I have my own sacred art that allows the devil cultivator to freely enter and leave the immortal world. As soon as he said that, Xiang Yang's face turned ugly. If the devil cultivator could swagger around in the immortal world, just how strong was the current true devil realm? In fact, Su Yun was not that powerful. He had only said those words to deceive Xiang Yang, but he believed that Qi Go would definitely have a way. The treasures of the immortal world were many times stronger than the true devil realm. With the foundation of the immortal-seeking sect, if he did not make good use of it, wouldn't it be a waste? Report. At this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside. A devil cultivator dressed in the immortal-seeking sect's attire ran in and knelt on one knee in front of Su Yun. Reporting to the demon lord, a group of immortals have arrived outside, saying that they are here to pay their respects to the sect leader. Are they the people of the immortal-seeking sect who are scattered outside? Su Yun asked. From their attire, it doesn't look like it. They are all wearing ivory robes, and their attire is completely different. They're more like people from the supreme sect. The devil cultivator said after hesitating for a moment. Supreme sect? Su Yun frowned and turned his gaze to the sun. Xiang Yang's face changed, his eyes shook, and he said in a low voice, maybe it's the Holy Maiden. Holy Maiden? Could it be? Sister. Su Yun's heart could not help but jump. Chapter 932. Lord Demon Lord, do you want to see these people? Xiang Yang hesitated for a moment, then asked Su Yun cautiously. Su Yun scratched his chin and started to think. Even if outsiders were to enter the immortal-seeking sect, they would definitely not be able to sense that the immortal-seeking sect had long been under the control of the true devil sect. Furthermore, the vice-sect leader of the immortal-seeking sect was still in Su Yun's hands, so no one would doubt it. Just that, how did the supreme sect exist again? What's going on with the supreme sect? Su Yun said indifferently. I remember that I had destroyed it before. Why does it still exist? Hearing Su Yun's words, Xiang Yang's heart skipped a beat. So he was the one who destroyed the supreme sect. Although the supreme sect has already been destroyed by the Lord Demon Lord, the sect master loves his adopted son and did not want his son's last wishes to be fulfilled. So he sent people to the martial imperial palace to save the holy maiden Su Luluo and gave her a large amount of resources to rebuild the supreme sect. Su Luluo has already taken root in the immortal world and has summoned the scattered supreme sect people, with a portion of the immortal-seeking sect's disciples to assist her. Oh, so that's how it is. The sect master never thought that Su Luluo would have such talent, and placed great importance on him. He was originally only doing it for his adopted son's last wishes, but now he wants to develop the new supreme sect into a branch of the immortal-seeking sect, and use it to strengthen the immortal-seeking sect. The limitless profound Qi is a powerful aura that can completely rival immortal Qi, and the supreme divine Tao that they proclaim can even be absorbed by immortals is truly unimaginable. So you're saying this new supreme sect is led by the immortal-seeking sect? Su Yun asked. This can be said to be true, but also not. What do you mean? The supreme sect will follow some of the orders, but there are many things that the Holy Maiden still acts on her own. Even if the sect master orders her to do so, she will still ignore them, and because of this, the sect master is quite angry. Hearing that, Su Yun understood why Su Luluo was still poisoned by the Supreme Divine Tao. She only persisted in the Supreme Divine Tao and would ignore anything that went against the divine way, which was why she was like this. But now that the immortal seeking sect was under his control, how could he sit by and do nothing? Even though it could be said that Su Yun and Su Luluo did not have any interactions, but with this brother-sister relationship, he would not stand by and do nothing. Bring them in. You receive them. I'll listen from the side, Su Yun said. Hearing this, Xiang Yang nodded. The devil cultivator retreated and went to summon Su Luluo and the others. Su Yun stood up. Using the imperial battle armor to conceal his chi, he drew out a dark yellow cloak and sat at the side, while Xiang Yang sat uneasily at the top. After a while, a few men and women dressed in ivory white entered the main hall. Su Yun raised his head and looked. His eyes under the cloak were sizing up the young lady who was walking at the front. The young girl had fair skin, bright eyes, and white teeth. She had a kind of untainted holiness, especially her temperament, which was very unique, sacred, pure, and aloof. She was like the reincarnation of a goddess that no one dared to blaspheme. That ivory robe perfectly covered her exquisite body, perfectly matching her temperament. However, her expression was very indifferent, as if everything in the world was nothing to her. Sect Master Xiang Yang. The young lady walked into the main hall, but did not bow to Xiang Yang. She only lightly opened her cherry lips and called out, which could be considered as a greeting. However, Xiang Yang seemed to be used to it. He did not say anything, and only pretended to be serious, and said indifferently, Holy Maiden has returned to the sect. I wonder what is the matter? Borrow someone. Su Luluo simply read out 2 words. Xiang Yang's face changed slightly. Didn't you borrow 400 disciples to go to the Supreme Sect 3 months ago? Why you still need to borrow people? Not enough. This, Xiang Yang didn't know how to reply. Su Luluo was a true disciple of the Supreme Sect. Once the disciples of the immortal seeking sect entered the Supreme Sect, they would basically not be able to return. The Supreme Sect's brainwashing was something that even immortals could not defend against. A few days ago, the Immortal Seeking Sect and the Heaven Knocking Pavilion had some small conflicts. The Immortal Seeking Sect suffered a lot of losses and is currently lacking manpower. If I were to lend someone to you, Holy Maiden, I'm afraid it would be inappropriate, right? Just then, Su Yun, who was sitting at the side, spoke. Su Luluo then turned her head and looked at Su Yun with her bright eyes. Who are you? She spoke indifferently, her voice like an ancient well without any ripples. This is... Xiang Yang wanted to introduce Su Yun, but when the words reached his mouth, he did not know what to say. But then he heard Su Yun speak indifferently and said, I am the sect's protector, Bai Li. Hello, Holy Maiden. Protector? Bai Li? Su Luluo frowned slightly. Why have I never heard of you before? I am always outside, so it is normal for the Holy Maiden to not have heard of me. I have only heard that the Immortal Seeking Sect only has one Protector Zilong. When did a Protector Bai Li appear? Su Luluo looked at Xiang Yang. He then looked at Xiang Yang and squeezed out a smile. Holy Maiden, you did not hear wrongly. This person is indeed my Immortal Seeking Sect Protector Bai Li. He has already completed the mission given to him by the Sect Master and has returned to the sect. Let's not talk about this anymore. Su Luluo did not seem to have much interest in Su Yun. He turned his head and looked at Xiang Yang. Let's talk about borrowing people. Yeah, Holy Maiden, Protector Bai also said before that the Immortal Seeking Sect had just fought with the Heaven Knocking Pavilion and suffered quite a bit of damage. Right now, they are lacking people. Isn't it a little inappropriate for you to come and borrow people at this time? When does sect leader think it is better to borrow them? Su Luluo immediately asked. This, of course, it's when you return the previous batch of people. We'll borrow them again. Just then, Su Yun interrupted. The face under the cloak revealed a trace of a smile. Holy Maiden, you should have heard of it, right? It won't be difficult to borrow more people. You haven't even returned the previous batch of people. So how can you borrow more people? I originally wanted to return them, but they're no longer willing to leave the Supreme Sect, Su Luluo said indifferently. Hearing that, Su Yun was stunned. He felt that his little sister's skin was quite thick. Then forcefully bring them over. If they don't return to the sect, they will betray the sect. The new Supreme Sect was established with the help of the Immortal Seeking Sect. So what's the difference between being in the Supreme Sect and being in the Immortal Seeking Sect? Su Luluo said. Well said. Since that's the case, why do you still need to borrow people? Su Yun asked. Su Luluo was silent. Speaking of which, why do you want to borrow people? Su Yun moved his face closer and carefully sized up Su Luluo's exquisite face. However, facing Su Yun's frivolity, Su Luluo did not have much of a reaction. He only raised his head and said to Xiang Yang, since it is not convenient to borrow people today, I will come back another day. With that, he turned and left. Xiang Yang was startled, but did not make sound. Su Luluo was obviously only using this as an excuse. On the other hand, Su Yun walked over quickly and directly blocked in front of Su Luluo. Protector Bai, what's the matter? Su Luluo stopped in his tracks and said indifferently, where's the holy maiden going? Su Yun revealed a cynical smile. Of course I'm going back to the Supreme Sect. Ayaya, you just arrived. Why are you leaving already? Don't you want to take a look around here? Although the Immortal Seeking Sect is not big, there are still many good scenery. The Holy Maiden's life is so beautiful. Coupled with that beautiful scenery, it must be intoxicating. Su Yun said lightly. He did not understand what the Supreme Divine Tao was, but even Shenwu Huang had no way. He could only try to get close to Su Luluo, think of a way to understand her situation, and then pull her out from the bewitching divine way. However, when he thought about how the person in front of him was his own sister, Su Yun still felt strange. The beautiful scenery in the world cannot compare to the brilliance at the end of the divine way. Protector Bai is an open-minded person. I think if you follow me to the Supreme Sect for a tour, you will definitely have a different harvest. Su Luluo said indifferently. This girl, what a scheming mind. Su Yun was secretly shocked. If he went to the Supreme Sect, he would definitely not be brainwashed, and like the disciples of the Immortal Seeking Sect, he would not be able to return. I'll go to the Supreme Sect another day, huh? Su Yun laughed awkwardly. Since that's the case, then Luluo will return to the Supreme Sect and respectfully await the arrival of the Protector. There's no need to send me off. Su Luluo said indifferently, then went around Su Yun and walked forward. Su Yun turned and looked at her back as she left. The current Su Luluo's cultivation was much stronger than before. She had already reached the first stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal. It was more than enough for Su Yun to deal with her. But even if he took her down, it would be useless. Her heart was still on the Supreme Divine Tao. If he wanted to save her, he had to make her give up on the Supreme Divine Tao. If he made a move now, it would only make her vigilant. And once his identity was exposed, it would be over. But how difficult would it be to destroy a person's faith? Su Yun fell in a deep thought. Xiang Yang did not dare disturb Su Yun. He could only sit at the side and not make sound. After a while, Su Yun stood up, as though he was going somewhere. Master, do you need to subdue the Supreme Sect? Xiang Yang asked anxiously. Subdue? How do I subdue them? How could they be willing to follow me? I'm afraid that if I go and take them in, they will take me in. Su Yun shook his head and said indifferently, we must send people to monitor the Supreme Sect's every move. The Supreme Sect is not a threat. Threat? Su Yun shook his head. Compared to the other sects, the Supreme Sect will be the biggest threat to the entire immortal world. Xiang Yang was secretly shocked. Why? Because its speed of development cannot be imagined according to common sense. Su Yun said, anyone who joined the Supreme Sect would wholeheartedly follow the Supreme Sect. This was something that no sect could compare to. A spirit cultivator needed a period of time to build up his feelings for the sect, and usually needed a few years. But the Supreme Sect was different. Maybe in a day or two, the person who joined the sect would be dead set on it. Its speed of development could only be described as terrifying. Chapter 9:33. Su Luluo rebuilding the Supreme Sect was something that Su Yun did not expect. Now, that the young lady that Su Shuntian and Shan Shueshue were worried about was right in front of him. How could Su Yun remain indifferent? If he could save Su Luluo, he believed that his father and mother would be extremely happy, right? There was no need for them to put their lives in danger. Su Yun thought, and immediately descended to the lower realms, heading towards the Wanhua realm. The old man from the dark place knew that the clear sky holy robe was able to restrain the limitless profound Qi. So he must definitely know a way to allow people to leave the supreme divine Tao. In less than an hour after leaving the immortal world, he had already entered the Wanhua realm. From the realm entrance to the dark place, it was extremely fast. His current speed was no longer the same as before. 1,000 miles in a single step was as easy as flipping his hand. Stepping into the realm of the dark place, the chaotic scene from back then once again appeared in his eyes. All sorts of evil spirits filled the place, and they relied on the spirit cultivator to enter all sorts of spatial cracks to earn profound coin for a living. Of course, this was only a proper thing to do, but it was filled with slaughter, brutality, oppression, and deception. There were countless of them, as many as the hairs on a cow. This was a tumor of the Wanhua realm, a stain, and nothing could be perfect. When he found the familiar river, Su Yin started to look around. Old man! Old man! Su Yin shouted. However, there was no trace of him. Just then, a pungent smell of blood suddenly floated over from the sky and entered Su Yun's nostrils. Su Yun's face was startled and immediately frowned. The smell of blood? With his current spirit sage cultivation, even if an ant died, he would be able to detect it immediately. However, this smell of blood seemed to be a little slow and was probably very far away. There seemed to be no one nearby. Could it be that something had happened to the old man? Thinking about it, Su Yun did not dare hesitate and immediately chased after the stench. Sure enough, 1,000 miles away, the old man was running for his life in panic. His body was covered in wounds. The profound Qi was in a mess, and he was gasping for breath. Especially on his lower abdomen, a sinister wound could be clearly seen, and dazzling blood dripped out. Behind him were countless gray-armored men. These people all held long sabers and were filled with killing intent as they chased after the old man. Saber Qi would often burst out from their sabers and collide with the old man. The old man would always dodge in a sorry state. If he didn't dodge in time, new wounds would appear on his body. Who were these people? Su Yun was confused, but he did not dare to waste any more time. He immediately rushed over and appeared in front of the old man in the blink of an eye. Old man, he called out. How could the old man react? Seeing a figure suddenly appear in front of him, he was so frightened that he tumbled to the ground in a sorry state. When the spirit cultivators who were chasing after the old man saw Su Yun suddenly appear, they all stopped vigilantly. Su Yun ignored them and pulled the old man up from the ground. Old man, what's going on? How did you suffer such heavy injuries? Who are these spirit cultivators? Unexpectedly, the old man grabbed Su Yun's arm and immediately shouted, Run, run. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move Su Yun. He almost fell down again. Hey kid, run. The old man was anxious. Su Yun shook his head. There's no need to run, old man. Tell me who these people are first. The old man was startled. Seeing Su Yun's indifferent face, he was puzzled. Was this guy not afraid of the spirit cultivator? Was he very strong? Forget it. This kid is courting death. I don't want to die. The old man couldn't be bothered with Su Yun anymore. He wanted to run away. But just as he raised his foot, a huge eagle suddenly appeared in front of him. The eagle landed on the ground like a mountain. It was exceptionally grand. When the old man saw this, he was so scared that his legs went soft, and he couldn't move anymore. Even the black armored spirit cultivator who were chasing after the old man were shocked. They all stopped in their tracks and didn't dare to move forward. Is this a puppet equipment? Brat, who are you? A shout came out. Who are you? Su Yun raised his eyes and looked at these people with cold eyes. We are from the Black Armored Stronghold. Today, we are here to capture this old man. I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, if you lose your life, don't blame us for being impolite." The man said coldly. Suyin snorted and no longer spoke. He just stretched out his hand to grab the man. A phantom flashed. In the next second, the man who spoke was grabbed by the collar by Su Yun and lifted up. The others were dumbfounded. What was going on? What the hell happened? The man who was caught by Su Yun was also stunned. He didn't know what was going on, but he was caught by the other party. Su Yun reached out his hand, grabbed his head, and slightly exerted force. Poochie. The man's head was like a crushed mango. Flesh and blood splashed everywhere. His head exploded and he died. Su Yun's robe was dyed red with blood. The rest of the people were dumbfounded. Was this an instant kill? Perhaps it was more appropriate to say that he was crushed, because that guy didn't even have a chance to fight back. It was probably the same as crushing an ant to death, right? When the old man saw Su Yun's strength, he was also stunned. Although he knew that Su Yun was very strong, he never thought that this guy would be this strong, killing someone with only one move. Little did he know that the current Su Yun was already in existence that could contend against immortals. The eagle let out a cry, spread its wings, and rushed towards the remaining black armored spirit cultivator. Only then did the spirit cultivator react. All of them hurriedly fled, turning around and running like mice being chased by a cat. It was just that Su Yun's cultivation had increased, and with the passage of time, the current devil bone spirit eagle's cultivation was no longer ordinary. These black armored spirit cultivator were no match for it, and in the blink of an eye, they were all devoured by the devil eagle, leaving not a single one behind. After a while, the place became quiet. "All right, old man, can you tell me what's going on now?" Su Yun turned around and asked. The old man was still in a daze, and only when Su Yun looked at him did he come back to his senses. "It's been 3 days since we last met. I'm really impressed." The old man looked at Su Yun from head to toe and could not help but exclaim. Su Yun smiled slightly. "Old man, you flatter me. Let's talk about the matter first." "Sigh. Actually, this matter happened because of me." The old man sighed, and a worried look appeared on his face. "I charge others to do things, but my ability completely originates from the natural divine power. Although it will consume a lot of my lifespan, but the profound coin I earn is enough for me to cultivate, raise my cultivation, and obtain more lifespan. But there are pros and cons to everything. Many supreme experts are coveting my ability. They want to capture me and specifically serve them, help them search for the whereabouts of rare treasures, help them calculate their fate, find the past, and look at the future. The chief of the Black Armored Stronghold came to the dark place 3 months ago and found me. He had long heard of my matters, so he specially came to investigate. And after paying an astonishing amount of profound coin, I satisfied his request and calculated the whereabouts of a rare treasure for him. For a time, he was shocked, but who would have thought that he would send people to capture me today? Sigh. No matter how much I calculated, I never would have thought that I would have such a calamity. The old man sighed again and again. The doctor could not save himself, and the old man was the same. It's not surprising that you would be like this. If you want to rely on this to survive, you still need to have a good eye for people who are worth serving and who are not worth serving. Of course, the most important thing is to have a backer. Although you came from the realm tree, you no longer belong to the realm tree. If I want to capture you or kill you today, I believe no one will be able to stop me, but I will not do so." Su Yun said, "Thank you very much." The old man laughed bitterly. "Today you saved my life. In the future, if you need me for anything, I can help you for free. I won't charge any profound coin. There is indeed something I need your help with." Su Yun said, "What is it?" "It's about the supreme divine Tao." Su Yun took out a pill and handed it over to the old man. The old man was startled. He took the pill and swallowed it. In an instant, the injuries on his body had completely healed, causing him to exclaim in surprise. However, what made him even more surprised was Su Yun's words. Supreme Divine Tao? Supreme Sect? Didn't the Supreme Sect already perish? Why do you ask? The old man asked doubtfully. The Holy Maiden of the Supreme Sect is my sister. She is deeply immersed in the divine way and is unable to extricate herself. I want to save her, but I don't know how to do it. So I came here today to ask for your guidance, to teach me a way to save my sister." Suyin said seriously, "So that's how it is." The old man nodded, but his face became solemn. He thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, "I'm afraid this kind of thing is not easy to do. Is there a way?" Suyin asked. "There is, but as long as there is," Suyin immediately said, "quickly tell me what method it is." About this, the old man thought for a moment, took out his magic tool, and started casting. A moment later, the old man's face became serious. "It might be difficult. How difficult is it? Take an item first. What is it? Why don't you ask where this item is?" The old man shook his head. "This is an item that exists in the immortal world. If it was in the past, I might have directly told you that it wasn't there, but looking at your current strength, it is no longer the same as before. Furthermore, obtaining this item is not the end. To completely separate a person from their so-called faith, the most basic thing is to shatter their faith and purify their hearts. The Supreme Sect instills a special kind of spiritual suggestion into people, and this suggestion is like a layer of filthy veil covering people's hearts. With this item, you still need to open the other party's heart, otherwise this item will not be able to be used." Hearing that, Su Yun's face darkened. He thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Tell me first, what is it, and where is it?" "Exquisite Kai. It's in the great Linglong Palace," the old man said in a low voice. Chapter 934. After knowing the method, Su Yun bade farewell to the old man of Dark Place. In order to use the Immortal Seeking Sect to develop the true Devil Realm, Su Yun had been staying in the Immortal Seeking Sect for this period of time. Originally, he had planned to leave everything to Octagon Aniseed, but Octagon Aniseed needed to integrate the true Devil Realm and was already extremely busy. As the Demon Lord of the true Devil Sect, and with the inheritance of the ancient tomb Great Demon, Su Yun could only bite the bullet and deal with the matters here. But he could also use this opportunity to rescue his sister from the Supreme Sect. Now that the new Supreme Sect was a subsidiary sect of the Immortal Seeking Sect, saving Su Luluo was much easier than before. When Su Yun returned to the Immortal Seeking Sect, he immediately summoned Xiang Yang. In the main hall, Xiang Yang sat at the side, looking at Su Yun, who was slowly walking in. "Vice Sect Leader Xiang, have you heard of the Dali Palace?" Su Yun asked indifferently. "Dali Palace?" Xiang Yang was stunned. "Exquisite Paradise's Great Linglong Palace?" "Exquisite Paradise?" Su Yun frowned. "What? How many Linglong Palaces are there in the immortal world?" "Oh no, if Lord Demon Monarch is really asking about Exquisite Paradise, then it's most likely an Exquisite Paradise. But I wonder why Lord Demon Monarch is asking about this. I've heard that the Dali Palace has a treasure called the Exquisite Rainbow. Have you heard of it?" Linglong Kai. Xiang Yang's expression changed. "That's the Linglong Palace's most precious treasure." "Sect guarding treasure?" The Dali Palace is an immortal cultivation sect with a long history of more than 100,000 years. Its disciples are all over the immortal realm, and they communicate with many immortal cultivation sects. Its strength is very powerful. Because of the grace of Exquisite Paradise, the Dali Palace itself has unique resources to enjoy, and its development speed is very fast. It's not something that the Immortal Seeking Sect can compare with. Your Excellency Devil Monarch, to be frank, if Your Excellency Devil Monarch wants this treasure, I'm afraid it's harder than ascending to heaven. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart sank. Was he really that powerful? From the looks of it, it was not easy to obtain the Exquisite Rainbow. However, he would not give up just like that. After all, this was the only way to save his sister. He had to obtain the Exquisite Rainbow, but he could not be too hasty. The old man had said that he had to first open Su Lilua's heart, and then, with the magic treasure, he would be able to completely remove the bewitching concept of the Supreme Divine Tao from Su Lilua's heart. And Su Luluo would also obtain the purest state of mind, which would be extremely beneficial to her. Although he could not be too hasty, Su Yun was still rather nervous in his heart. The terrifying thing about the Supreme Sect was not that it could easily bewitch people's hearts, but the backlash of the limitless profound chi towards the spirit cultivator. With Sulila's methods, recruiting people to join the new Supreme Sect would not be difficult, but she still persistently recruited new members every day and even came to the immortal seeking sect time and time again to borrow people. There was probably only one reason. Every day, a large number of spirit cultivator would die from the backlash of the limitless profound chi. Su Yin was very worried. If one day, Su Luluo also suffered such a backlash, what should he do? He had to deal with this matter first. Su Yin thought for a moment, then said to Xiang Yang, "Tell me everything you know about the Great Ling Long Palace." Huh? Xiang Yang's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that this guy wants to make a move on the Great Ling Long Palace? The Great Ling Long Palace was not the immortal seeking sect. Relying on the previous method would definitely not work. If Su Yin were to send all the devil cultivator S to the Great Ling Long Palace, it would be equivalent to courting death. The Great Ling Long Palace was enough to take care of all these existences. However, Su Yin was unable to do it. Previously, when he was dealing with the immortal seeking sect, he had already used the demon god token twice, so he could only use it once more. If he were to bring the devil cultivator to the immortal world again, then he would not be able to return. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I won't act recklessly. Tell me everything you know about the Great Ling Long Palace. Su Yin insisted. His voice was calm and collected. Xiang Yang secretly swallowed his saliva. He thought that Su Yin did not understand the Great Ling Long Palace, which was why he said that, and immediately spoke. The Great Ling Long Palace is a rather famous sect in the immortal world. Although its strength is not the number one in the entire immortal world, it is still one of the top. The sect is strong and has a large scale. I'm afraid that even 10 immortal-seeking sects cannot compare to the Great Ling Long Palace. The exquisite paradise of the Grand Ling Long Palace is one of the few blessed lands in the immortal world. Many sects in the immortal world would choose to establish their base near the blessed land. The resources in the blessed land are inexhaustible, allowing the sect to develop rapidly. The exquisite paradise of the Grand Ling Long Palace is rich in karma stones. These stones contain powerful immortal chi. After an immortal absorbs them, the immortal chi can be converted into immortal chi, allowing one's cultivation to soar by leaps and bounds. Apart from that, the karma stones can also be used to forge immortal equipment and concoct immortal pills. There are countless benefits. Although the blessed land only produces 100 karma stones every year, each karma stone can bring a large amount of immortal coins to the Grand Ling Long Palace, allowing the sect to develop rapidly. Immortal coins? Su Yun was startled. Is that the currency of the immortal world? Yes. Xiang Yang nodded his head. As though he had thought of something, he explained, immortal coins and cultivation coins are similar in nature, but the power contained in immortal coins is even more abundant. One immortal coin is equivalent to 10 million cultivation coins. If it's a rich immortal, they will most likely use immortal coins to help themselves cultivate. Oh, Su Yun rolled his eyes. He already had a lot of wealth in Beiyang, but if he was in the immortal world, he would probably still be a poor ghost. It is said that the karma stones are the main refining materials for some special immortal equipment. The Great Ling Long Palace rarely sells out the karma stones, so there are very few karma stones circulating outside. In order to obtain the karma stones, many existences with extraordinary cultivation join the Great Ling Long Palace. And because of that, the Great Ling Long Palace's scale and strength became bigger and bigger. Other than the karma stones, the Great Ling Long technique in the Great Ling Long Palace is also an extremely terrifying immortal technique. The Great Ling Long technique is a powerful mental technique that can easily see through the minds of others and understand their state of mind. As long as you're an enemy of someone who is proficient in the Great Ling Long technique, all of your plans and intentions will be discovered by the other party. It can be said that people who are proficient in the Great Ling Long technique have no way of fighting back. No matter what methods you have, the other party will know. I have also heard that the palace mistress of the Great Ling Long Palace can even learn the supreme divine abilities of those powerful immortals through the Great Ling Long technique. They can obtain all the information about the other party's mental cultivation method through reading their minds and use it to cultivate. With this immortal technique in hand, the Great Ling Long Palace will be able to stand tall in the immortal world without falling. Xiangyang spoke with confidence and composure. When he spoke of the main points, his face would reveal shock from time to time. At that moment, Su Yun had long lowered his head and was silent. Great Ling Long technique. I never thought that there would be such a technique in this world. Although the grand, exquisite art is powerful, it consumes a lot of immortal qi. Ordinary people of the grand, exquisite palace won't use it. And the palace lord has also given a strict order that the disciples of the sect are not allowed to use this art casually, not to mention using it within the grand, exquisite palace. Peeping into someone's mental state is a taboo, and this technique often annoys the immortals, bringing a lot of trouble to the grand, exquisite palace. Legend has it that 3,000 years ago, an elder of the grand, exquisite palace used this technique to peep into the immortal art of a powerful immortal. That immortal was so enraged that he actually joined forces with 3 other immortal sects to besiege the grand, exquisite palace. If it wasn't for the palace lord releasing the karmic stone and other rare treasures to settle the matter, I'm afraid that the grand, exquisite palace would have already been defeated by those 3 sections. Oh, there's such a thing? Su Yun was slightly surprised. That's only the bigger ones. The smaller ones are countless. The Dali Palace became famous because of the karmic fate stones, but they also became infamous because of the Dali technique. Xiangyang said, I understand. Su Yun took a deep breath, raised his hand, and said, You can leave first. Yes. Xiangyang did not dare delay, and immediately cupped his fists and left. Once Xiangyang left, Su Yun scratched his chin and thought. To obtain the exquisite rainbow, it was obviously impossible to fight the Great Ling Long Palace head-on. The only way was to sneak into the Great Ling Long Palace to obtain it. But the people of the Great Ling Long Palace all knew the Great Ling Long technique, which was equivalent to reading minds, so it was not easy to sneak in. Although Xiangyang said that the Great Ling Long technique could not be used casually, it did not mean that it could not be used. However, he could not sneak in, and it was not realistic to forcefully fight. So what should he do? Su Yun's face was filled with worry. He was completely at a loss and did not know where to start. Your state of mind is in a mess. Just then, a voice suddenly sounded out in Su Yun's mind. Su Yun was shocked. He immediately looked around, but there was no one around. Only then did he react and immediately took out the limitless sword sheath. A white light leaked out from the sword sheath, and a beautiful young lady's figure appeared in front of him. Looking closely, it was Ling Qingyu, who he had not seen for a long time. Qingyu, long time no see, ha. Su Yun scratched the back of his head, feeling rather awkward. Ling Qingyu rolled her eyes at him. Her face flushed red. It was obvious that the two of them were thinking about what happened in the ancient tomb. Speaking of which, Qingyu, what have you been doing in the sword sheath? Seeing that Ling Qingyu did not speak, Su Yun immediately changed the topic to prevent the atmosphere from becoming awkward. Training. Ling Qingyu turned her neck to the side, not looking at Su Yun. At that time, I had some enlightenment, so I cultivated inside. Oh. Su Yun roughly sized up Ling Qingyu. Her cultivation had indeed improved greatly, but she was afraid that she could not even fight against the spirit sage, since she did not have as many fortuitous encounters as Su Yun. He felt that his body was a little restless. After devouring the soul of the sect leader of the one immortal sect, he believed that it would not be long before his cultivation would rise again. Speaking of which, where is this? Ling Qingyu looked around and realized that the immortal qi was floating around, and the white jade bricks were extremely mystical. So she asked, Immortal world? Su Yun laughed. Immortal world? Ling Qingyu was shocked. Yes. Su Yun replied with a smile. He did not hide anything from Ling Qingyu and told her everything that had happened. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.